Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and welcome to the Lord of the Rings Sealed Qualifier Weekend Day 1 event. This is a qualification-only event that you get in by hitting top 250 Mythic or winning a Qualifier play-in event, and we're going to be competing for potential entry into the next Arena Championship. We've only got one shot during this event, and we need to get 7 wins before 2 losses in Day 1 to make it to Day 2, where we'll need another 7 wins to qualify. So this is going to be some high-stakes competitive magic where no matter what happens, we'll be running away with some gems, but I'm going to be doing the best I can, see how far I can take it in this Qualifier Weekend event. So without further ado, let's bust open our packs and see what we get to play with today. Alright, and we've definitely got some solid rares here, in particular the blue ones. Rangers of Ithilien is a mind control effect, steals one of your opponent's smaller creatures as long as you control the rangers, and it has the Ring Tempts You, which is a really great ability if you can make it to level 2 of the ring or level 4 of the ring. Those effects are both very powerful. If the rings tempted you twice during the game, then your ring bearer gets to draw a card and discard a card every time that it attacks to really set up your draws. Make sure that you are finding whatever you need, so that can often be the difference between who's going to be drawing best throughout the game, just who has a level 2 ring bearer. So big fan of powerful cards that also happen to have the Ring Tempt You, and Rangers of Ithilien really fits that bill. Speaking of that, as I was talking about the blue cards here, Sauron's Ransom is another fantastic one. This is a little bit of a mind game sort of card draw spell, where your opponent gets to sort the top 4 cards of your library into 2 different piles, and you only get to draw one of those piles. Mainly, you're always going to draw 2 cards off of this at instant speed, which is pretty good. Even if you get the worst pile, they aren't going to be that different in power level usually. Plus, being able to have the Ring Tempt You at instant speed is another pretty solid bit of value, so I'm a very big fan of Sauron's Ransom as well. So really liking the look of a potential blue-black deck here, mainly because those are our strongest rares by far, because our third strongest rare, in my opinion, is One Ring to Rule Them All. This might want to start off in the sideboard. I'm not super confident on this one because there are a lot of legendaries in the format, and any ring bearer that our opponent controls will also be legendary. So there could be some matchups where this doesn't really blow anything up, or we might not have a lot of legendaries and not have a lot of cards where the ring tempts us, in which case this might blow up more of our cards than theirs, but this is always going to make one of our creatures legendary before it blows up all non-legendaries, so I think generally it's probably still worth main decking and still the third strongest rare. Fourth strongest rare is the Lighted Halfling, which I think in terms of pure power level is probably at least stronger than the One Ring to Rule Them All, but it is in green. I'm not the biggest fan of green, just because we're going to have a lot of pretty weak commons and uncommons in the color. There are good cards in green, but you have to sift through a lot of mediocre stuff to get there, so it really depends on what we open. Delighted Halfling might actually make the cut if our green is pretty good. And then the last 2 cards are just never going to make our deck. Mithril Coat is just too much mana, even if it is a nice little indestructible trick for a legend, and Tom Bombadil. We have to play 5 colors for basically 0 payoff unless our sealed pool has a ridiculously large amount of sagas, which is highly unlikely. So really looking forward to checking out our blue and black, but as always, we'll be checking out every single color, making sure that we aren't missing anything that stands out as particularly powerful. So I'm going to start off with the multicolored cards, see if there's anything at the uncommon slot pushing us in a specific direction, and there are a few, the strongest ones being the Mouth of Sauron here. Really nice for a blue-black deck, which is great because I'm already liking the look of our rares in the color pair. And there's the Malheur Uruk-hai Captain for red-black Amass. That is another very strong card. So these 2 are the big ones, blue-black, red-black, looking pretty sweet. And then Gwaihir the Windlord. This is still a solid card, but definitely not as exciting as these 2. So pretty nice stuff towards blue-black or red-black, so we're really hoping our black is good. Check out our colorless cards now to see what kind of mana fixing we have access to. And it's not great, but the mana fixing in this format generally isn't great in the first place. We just have a couple Shire Terrace and a Wizard's Rockets that could help us splash in like 1 off-color card if it only has 1 mana of the off-color, but we're going to have a really hard time trying to splash in like a double red or double green card, anything like that. Unless we draw into our Wizard's Rockets, because Shire Terrace is really only good at getting your 1 like off-color source. So good to know that we have the fixing if we need it, if we need to do a little bit of splashing, but I don't think we're going to be very good at splashing or running like a dedicated 3-color deck. So those are our multicolored and colorless cards. Let's check out every color now, get them ranked on individual power level, and then see what colors look like they're going to pair up to be the strongest. So we've got a very high quantity of white cards here, but I don't think the quality is particularly high. I think all the creatures are pretty good. None of these are bad. Shire Sheriff and East Farthing Farmer are the most filler of the creatures, just because I found it's actually a little difficult to always have a token out for the Shire Sheriff, especially in Sealed, where we're not going to be able to draft around having a million food tokens. We have a little bit. The East Farthing Farmer makes a food, but I don't think there's anything else in here that's super playable that makes a food. We could run Second Breakfast just to get it to work with the Sheriff, but that's 2 total cards that make a token to work with this, so not the greatest. Still a 2-mana 2/2 Vigilance. And then Farmer's a little filler as well. The rest of the white creatures are pretty good, though. Having the Ring tempt us when the Stalwarts hits the board is great. Eowyn's just a very good legend. Helps you get in during combat really well. And Errand Rider is a great value play. So, pretty big fan of the creatures. There's not a lot of them, but like 3 of them I really like. One's pretty solid. Only one that's kind of mediocre. As for the non-creature spells, though, there's a lot of cards that I'm not that into. There's a couple Banished from Adoris. That definitely makes the cut in Sealed, but I would put it around the kind of slightly above average mark, maybe just right around average. There's a couple Slip on the Ring. Very much not a fan of this. It's very situational, and you need a lot of Enter the Battlefield effects to kind of get around the situational nature of the card. We do have a few, but again, because we don't have a lot of white creatures in general, we need a lot of Enter the Battlefield effects in our secondary color as well. Hobbit Sting can be pretty hard to get to actually kill something if you don't have a lot of food token production or a really high creature count, and our white has neither of those. We don't have a high creature count, and we don't have that much food production, so it's up to our second color to show up with a lot of creatures for Hobbit Sting to be playable. The Blade's not good unless pretty much every creature in your deck is a human, and that is certainly not the case. We have 3 humans right now, so unless we're red-white and like every red creature we put in as a human, it's not going to be great. Escape's a fine combat trick. Really don't like You Cannot Pass, even if every creature in your deck is a legendary. It's pretty situational where it can't kill evasive creatures like flying creatures and ring bearers and stuff because you're never going to be blocking or blocked by them. And it's also not going to kill any creatures that are just sitting on the board with a really good ability. Like if your opponent has something like a Sauron on board that's constantly amassing and it's just sitting there not getting into combat, well, you still can't do anything about that with this, so even in Magical Christmas Land, where you always have a legendary on the board, I'm not that impressed by this, and you certainly are not always going to have a legendary, so it's even worse than that, so not super into that. Lost to Legend is fine. There's plenty of historic permanence in the format, because there's tons of legends, decent amount of sagas and artifacts as well. But yeah, overall, there are quite a few non-creature spells I'm not that into, and not that many creatures, so I would put white just right around average, even though there are some cards that I do like quite a bit there. And blue looks very, very good right now. There's definitely some filler here as well, but we've got a good quantity of cards, and we have a few that I really, really like. So obviously Rangers of Ithilien. This might just be the strongest card in our whole sealed pool. Being able to have a 3/3 Vigilance and steal an opposing card and have the Ring tempt us is just a ton of value. We then have a few of blue's best spells. We have 2 Lorien Revealeds. Draw 3 is really, really huge. That's a lot of card advantage, and you can island cycle this early in the game if you don't have the mana you need, so it's nice and flexible too. Glorious Gale has been a great counterspell, especially in slower games, and sealed can tend to run slower, so big fan of the Glorious Gale. Soothing of Smeagol is great if we have a lot of other cards where the ring tempts us, and we will have Soothing of Smeagol and Rangers of Ithilien at least, so that seems like it'll be pretty good. The creatures are definitely worse. We've got Pelargir Survivor, which is great. Eortha the Healing House seems pretty good too, but the rest of our creatures are pretty filler. They definitely make the cut, most of them, like some Kingfishers, some Willow Winds. But the Navigators, the Captain of Umbar, the Knights of Dol Amroth, I'm pretty unexcited about those. But we've got a few very good spells in blue and some very, very powerful creatures, mainly just Rangers of Ithilien. So definitely like blue the best so far. Checking out our black now, we've got some great creatures, but very few spells. We have 2 Haunt the Dead Marshes, which is always good. Pretty easy to have a legendary on board to keep recurring this from your graveyard. A couple Easterling Vanguards are great on turn 2. They trade off and get an army. Golem is fantastic, giving you value when it trades off and coming back from the grave. And Golem's a really good combo with Haunt of the Dead Marshes, because you can sack the Haunt of the Dead Marshes to return the Golem to your hand, then cast the Golem, get it onto the board, and just reanimate your Haunt of the Dead Marshes, so that the next time Golem dies, you can sack the Haunt again, bring Golem back again. It's just this endless loop where these two will just never die. There's Uruk-hai Berserker for great Ring Tempt You value. And then some more filler creatures, Mirkwood Bats, Snarling Warg, and Trebuchet doesn't look like it's really going to work if we go blue-black, but maybe in red-black we'll have a ton of amass cards, but I don't think we have enough in blue-black to get the Trebuchet into the deck. As for the non-creature spells, Sam's Desperate Rescue is great, especially if you can return something like an Uruk-hai Berserker to your hand, because you could speedrun that ring real fast. The Berserker has the Ring Tempt You when it comes into play, then you can trade it off into something, then rescue it back. The ring tempts you again, then replay it, the ring tempts you a third time. So these 2 cards alone get you to level 3 of the ring, so you just need one more way for the ring to tempt you to get to that very powerful 4th ability. So big fan of Desperate Rescue since we do have an Uruk-hai Berserker, and also Rangers of Ithilien and stuff if we go blue-black. So like our black cards a lot, don't like the lack of interaction. The only piece of interaction we have is Morgul Knife Wound, which just gives your opponent the option of whether or not they think they should keep their nullified creature or sack it, which is just not that great. We would much prefer cards like Claim the Precious. Those are quite a bit better than this. Even Lash the Balrog is better than this. So it's just not what we want to see from our removal spells, but it is what it is. Oath of the Grey Host is definitely a bit slower, but certainly playable and sealed as it is a slower format. We got to get this down early when we don't need something to impact the board immediately, and then eventually we'll get pretty good value off of it, getting 3 Flying Spirits. So pretty good stuff in black. I am pretty bummed about the lack of removal, but we've got some pretty quality cards there. Checking out our red now, we have double Fiery Inscription if I really want to try to be blue-red spells. That's kind of exciting. The problem with that is that while I do have good blue spells, my red spells are few and far between and they kind of suck. So if I make a dedicated blue-red spells deck, I just don't know that I'm going to have enough spells to really justify a double Fiery Inscription build, because there's no way I'm going to play Rush the Room, Gimli's Fury, Treason of Isengard. So that leaves me with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total instants/sorceries. That's really not where I want to be with inscriptions. I want to be really, really high on that count, and 8 is not quite there. So that's a bit of a bummer there. Don't think blue-red's where it's at, even though we have double Flamesmith, double inscription, and that makes our red really awkward, because that's kind of the only thing our red could do well, is be a blue-red deck, because Fiery Inscription and Flamesmith just aren't going to be good cards in a deck with less than like 10 instant sorceries. And no other color pair is going to be that high on instants and sorceries here, so that makes 4 of our cards that would have been good basically unplayable. Let me get rid of the sorting so that the deck builder doesn't lag out here, but cards like, I'm not a fan of Rush the Room, Gimli's Fury, not going to play the Inscriptions, the Flamesmiths, Gimli's Axe is really slow. Erkenbrand's only good in like red-white humans, and we don't have enough humans to work with it. We don't have a Rally at the Hornburg to work with it. We have like a lot of synergy pieces in red, but none of the cards that actually synergize well with them. Like, that leaves red down to these as the cards that are good enough to put into just any red deck, and that's really low on cards there, so red is a bit of a bummer there. And last, but hopefully not least, we'll take a look at our green here, but it kind of does look like it's the least. We just have the lowest quantity of cards here, and there's nothing particularly high quality. I do like the Halfling. I do like the Enraged Horn. Bag End Porter's fine. But in the middle here, we have some cards that aren't going to work well. We have very little scry to go with Chance Med Elf, so it's basically a 3-mana 3/2. We have only the Chance Med Elves to work with the Lookout, so it's not going to be great either. Brandywine Farmer is going to be very bad because we're very low on food synergies. And then our non-creature spells are just not exciting outside of Ent's Fury. We've got Ent's Fury for removal, but then some filler combat tricks and filler combat trick aura kind of thing, so not really into the green. Definitely think blue-black looks like where we're supposed to be here. We get access to the Mouth of Sauron, we get access to Sauron's Ransom, and they're definitely at least in our top 3 strongest colors. So I'll take another look at every color here real quick. So there's our white, here's our blue, and there's our black. Another look at our red, and then one final look at green. Yeah, I don't think that our blue and our black are perfect, but I do think they are the strongest of our 5 colors, and they give us access to 2 very powerful multicolored cards. Plus our strongest rares. We get to play Rangers of Ithilien, Sauron's Ransom, and potentially 1 ring to rule them all. Depends on our legendary count and ring tempt count, but I think that will pan out pretty well. So I think we're going blue-black here. The only other thing I could see a really big argument for, like, there's a little bit of an argument for checking out blue-red, so I guess I'll take a peek at it, but I just don't think it's going to be where it's at. So I'll look at blue-red first because I don't think I'm going to end up there, but just to kind of prove that it's going to look a little dirtily, not perfectly synergistic here, we'll make sure to take a peek at it. But then the other thing is to consider playing white, because white is kind of our only color with removal, really. Blue's got counter spells, so we're doing as good as we can without playing white when it comes to removal, but white is our only color with hard removal. We have 2 Banish from Adoris and white to exile any card, so we could consider playing white or at least splashing white for that. So let's build this just real quick here. This is 49 cards. We get to cut 9 of them. Cut the Mediocre Combat Tricks, cut the Gimli's Axe, Erkenbrand, low human count for that. We've got 2 Lorien Revealed and an Oliphant for 3 land cyclers, so we could cut 1 to 3 lands. We'll just start off by cutting 2 here. And then all those, we get to cut 3 more cards. What are the weakest? Probably Captain of Umbar, some Navigators I'm not that into. Treason of Isengard, I guess, makes the cut since it adds to our instant sorcery count and our creature count at the same time. Even if it isn't super good. Probably cut Knights of Dol Amroth or some Willow Winds or something. So 3 cards to cut here. We've got a Mountain at 3 mana, so I'll just cut the weak 3 mana cards, I suppose. 2 Greyhaven's Navigator, Captain of Umbar, and then that makes the curve a bit better. Yeah, we've got a lot of 5s, but 2 of these are 1-drop land cyclers as well. So this puts us at 9 instants and sorceries, which is a little closer to Fiery Inscription being a little interesting. Still not super pumped about the Flamesmiths. Just that low toughness is a really big deal. Blue-red definitely looks like a playable deck, but I think our instant and sorcery count is low enough here that the synergy of this deck does not make up for just the sheer power level of our good blue and black cards that we're going to get to play playing blue-black, getting to play Mouth of Sauron, getting to play just strong black cards in general, I think is going to pan out to be better in general than this. But this is probably in the top 3 best decks in our sealed pool. I think we are still likely to be playing blue-black, but I will keep this in the back of my head. I will compare the 2 in my head after we build the blue-black deck. But take another look at white real quick. Again, the only thing really exciting about white is that we actually have removal spells here. We've got decent creatures, but most exciting thing about our non-creature spells are the 2 Banish from Adoris. So I could see playing blue-black or blue-red, running a couple Shire Terraces and a Plains for Banish from Adoris. Probably likely to be what's going to happen if we do any splashing here. So I will keep those banishes in mind as we move on to the main deck build, checking out our blue-black deck. Alright, so here's a look at the deck. If we're just in blue-black, I think this is what I want the main deck to be. Mainly just cut the weakest cards in general, but I also had a bit of a focus on the curve and got a little bit of a strategy focused on evasive threats here. So we decided to go for 2 Kingfisher as flyers, 2 Willow Winds as flyers, an Oath of the Grey Host to spit out a bunch of flyers. So that's how we're really trying to close out the game. Other than that, we have a lot of the ring tempting us. Not like a mountain of it, but we've got Uruk-hai Berserker, Rangers of Ithilien, Sauron's Ransom, One Ring to Rule Them All, Soothing of Smeagol, and Sam's Desperate Rescue. I guess it's a pretty good count of the ring tempt, so we can treat our smaller ground creatures also as potentially evasive threats, making them ring bearers. So a lot of unblockable stuff going on here. Outside of that, again, just a lot of our strongest stuff in the sealed pool in general, like our Sauron's Ransom and our Rangers of Ithilien, our Mouth of Sauron for a big 2-for-1 play. So I think I like the deck like this, where it's really streamlined on hard to block creatures via flyers and ring bearers. And we're in our best colors. Stuff that I'm not super sure about, mainly the One Ring to Rule Them All. I think this is going to be pretty dang matchup dependent. So it's a possibility that I cut the One Ring to Rule Them All and maybe a Morgul Knife Wound, because it's a pretty weak removal spell. We only really have it in here because we don't have other removal for the most part. We just have an Isolation. Isolation, I think, is definitely better than Knife Wound. But I think the other build we could do here is cut One Ring to Rule Them All and Morgul Knife Wound to throw in 2 Banish from Adoris. Then we play a Plains and a couple Shire Terrace in here. Not super excited about having to play some Shire Terraces, but I think in order to get better removal into the deck, it might be worth it. So that's the main thing to consider, I would say. As for the stuff that we're cutting here, it's kind of just the stuff that is the worst for its respective mana cost, the worst stuff on curve. So we've got like Captain of Umbar has just always been slow and dirtily, Navigators, low toughness for the cost. Trebuchet, we've got a little bit of Orc armies, but not enough to really get boulders flinging consistently. Treason of Isengard, we have very few instants and sorceries that are valuable enough to play a 3-mana 2/2 to put on top of our deck. Warg is solid. This pile here, I guess outside of the Knights and the Bats, the 2 best cards that I'm cutting, in my opinion, are the Snarling Warg and the Eorth of the Healing House. So these are the closest to making the cut. Eorth mainly because we want a pretty high legendary count with One Ring to Rule Them All, but I don't think I'm actually that excited about the mana ramp of this card starting off on turn 3, because our curve stops at 5. We don't really need the untapped stuff going on too much, but I do like the idea of having a chunky high toughness legend in this deck. And then Snarling Warg, it's just another evasive threat. It's not quite as evasive as Flyers or Ring Bearers, but it would still help us potentially push in for some damage. Again, we don't have a ton of Amass cards or Orcs. I think we have like 3 cards that Amass and 1 Orc Berserker. So most of the time it's just a 3/4 Menace also, which isn't that exciting. 4 mana 4/4 Menace I think would just make the cut every time, but it's kind of like a 4/4 Menace half the time or a little less than half the time, so I think we're cool with cutting all these. And then the real question here again is whether to cut the One Ring and the Morgul Knife Wound for a couple banishes, or just go straight blue-black and not have to really deal with any potential mana issues. Alright, one last look at the deck, moment of truth here between playing the Banish Splash or not. Another thing that helps with the Banish Splash is that we do have a Pelargir Survivor that can tap for a mana of any color for instants and sorceries, so that could be our white source for the Banish. Really don't love running 2 Shire Terrace, but if we cut One Ring to Rule Them All, then the only card in our deck that requires more than 1 mana of its respective color is Rangers of Ithilien. So we just make sure we have a really high blue count. I guess the Lorien Revealeds require double blue as well, but those can just be island cycled if we can't cast them. I kind of think I want to throw Banish in. I think really the deciding factor here is that I do have a Pelargir Survivor at least. So it's like I've got a Plains, a Pelargir Survivor, and 2 Shire Terraces. So I've got 4 potential white sources. It's really, really close here between splashing or not splashing. I usually tend to go towards not splashing, but I'm really not a huge fan of our interaction without banishes in the deck. And we could always sideboard back to just blue-black. So if our opponent has very few legendaries, we could like sideboard back into blue-black, running the One Ring to Rule Them All and some stuff. That could be pretty nice little swap out. Yeah, I think I'm going to start with the double banish in here over the One Ring and the Knife Wound. Then we need to figure out how we're getting this mana to work. I think we're mainly just cutting some swamps now that I don't have a double black card. But let's check our colors here. 14 blue cards, 10 black. And blue gives us Pelargir Survivor, which can help for off-color instants and sorceries, which helps for Sauron's Ransom, Sam's Desperate Rescue, and Banish. Blue also gives us the double blue Rangers of Ithilien. The one thing that's real awkward about the splash, though, is that we do want black mana on turn 1 consistently as well. Getting a Haunt the Dead Marshes to curve out turn 1 into turn 2 into turn 3 is pretty big. Yeah, we actually have a lot of early game black cards. Double Haunt, double Vanguard, Golem, Uruk-hai Berserker, so we want to really consistently have that black mana early. I have to cut 3 lands here, and I just really don't know what colors to do that with. Like, maybe it's even cut a terrace and 1 swamp, still have 7 swamps for all these early black drops. Alright, least committal Magic player in the game, back at it again. I'm actually gonna get rid of the white cut now that I'm looking at our curve of early black creatures and how these are much more significantly powerful played turn 1 than having to wait a couple turns to draw into a black source. I want to keep that black count pretty high, and I need to keep the blue count really high. So I don't think I can... I mean, I've got 2 Lorien Revealed, so maybe I can cut a couple island and keep the swamps at 8. But 6 island double Lorien Revealed doesn't feel great for Rangers and Pelargir Survivor. Things get awkward. Things definitely get awkward with the splash. I guess Glorious Scale, Soothing of Smeagol, Sauron's Ransom, none of those need to get cast early, so our blue cards outside of Pelargir Survivor don't need to get cast till turn 3 onward. Our mana base is getting significantly worse. Going for this splash. Wow, and I have to cut 3 lands, I forgot about that, which means I do still have to cut a swamp or a terrace here. No way can I go down to 5 islands and 2 Lorien Revealed. Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to start with the flat 2-color build. And I'm going to hope I can draw Glorious Scales at the right time. If I don't draw those, we still have Isolation and Knife Wound as pseudo removal. And we can, instead of sideboarding out of the white package, we can sideboard into the white package if we're in a matchup where we really, really need more removal than we have. I think I'm going to start with the more consistent deck. And if we need removal badly enough to make our mana base less consistent, we can always side into that kind of build rather than starting off up front with the less consistent deck. Yeah, I'm going to do that. We're going to side back into the Knife Wound and the One Ring to rule them all. Alright, so here's a look at the starting deck list for today. We are going to be a nice blue-black mid-range pile. As always in Sealed, we're just playing our strongest colors and our strongest cards, and this deck is no exception. We actually have a pretty decent curve of creatures and a bit of a strategy to this deck more than your average Sealed pool. We are playing plenty of nice, cheap creatures, mainly a bunch of expendable black cards that give us value when they die, or can reanimate from the graveyard like Haunt of the Dead Marshes and Golem. We've got Uruk-hai Berserker for some ring tempting, Rangers of Ithilien for some ring tempting, and then a lot of non-creature spells for ring tempting like Sauron's Ransom, One Ring to rule them all, Soothing of Smeagol, Sam's Desperate Rescue. So that is the main strategy of this deck. We're going to be getting several evasive threats onto the board to close out the game later, like flyers such as Ithilien Kingfisher and Willowwind, as well as ring-bearing cheap creatures as we level up that ring and get those to be more and more powerful. So again, great collection of creatures here, trying to just hit in with a bunch of evasive threats. Weakest part of our deck is our interaction, but I think it's still not quite as bad as the interaction we had in our Qualifier play-in deck. I think we're doing a little better than that one. We have Isolation at Orthanc and Morgul Knife Wound for ways to deal with cards that have resolved. We can also bounce one back to hand with Soothing of Smeagol, and then we have 2 Glorious Gales as well. So we have a lot of pieces of interaction, but none of them are like perfect hard removal in this deck. We also have one potential board wipe with one ring to rule them all. If our opponent doesn't have a ton of legends on board, this could be pretty nice for us. This is definitely one of the cards that I could see getting sided out relatively often, but we'll see how it plays out in the early games to see how valuable it ends up being for us. So overall, really nice deck here. Lots of ways to get ahead in card advantage with 2 Lorien Revealed, Sauron's Ransom, and Sam's Desperate Rescue. A little less likely to flood out since we are running 16 lands thanks to having 2 Island Cyclers, but I would still more often than not like to cast these Lorien Revealeds rather than Island Cycle them, so I'm not cutting lands 1 for 1 for them. Just going to cut 1 land for the 2 of these. And yeah, looks like pretty solid stuff overall, and I'm very excited to see how it does as we head into the gameplay. Here we are for game 1 with an absolute keep. If I don't draw lands, I can cycle these Lorien Revealeds. If I do draw lands, I'm going to get very far ahead in card advantage late in the game. And Haunt of the Dead Marshes can help scry into lands. Not so sure about another swamp here. I need another island pretty badly to play these Loriens, but I guess I could draw this swamp and then island cycle one of these to cast the other one, and that would be the 5 mana that I need, because that'd be double blue and 3. Woe's Pathfinder will start things for our green-red opponent, so they are going to be ramping here. Playing some very large cards while I'm still playing pretty small stuff overall. Let's scry again. We do find the island, alright. Some easy scries from the Haunts of the Dead Marshes. We're going to be very ahead in card advantage, but with a Woe's Pathfinder on board, especially on the play here, our opponent is going to be playing very large cards in comparison to what we can do. They're playing a 4-drop when I just cast a 2-drop, and then they're going to be playing a 5-drop when I can only cast 3 drops. On the play plus Mana Dork means we are going to be far behind on board, and this could be a big issue for us. So let's drop our Uruk-hai Berserker, make a Haunt, a Ring Bearer, so we have a legendary on board, plus we get to poke them with that. So now that I have a legend on board, I can keep chumping Legolas, but every time I do, Legolas is going to keep getting bigger, getting a +1/+1 counter every time. So I'm going to have to try to block Legolas with Uruk-hai Berserker if they just make an attack like that. Oh, there's a Theoden. Wow, beautiful mana from our opponent. 4 colors of spells that they have cast already turn 4. And a double striking Legolas means I have to take 4 or give it a +1/+1 counter, neither of which are things that I am a big fan of here. I'll take the 4 for now, I think. Go down to 16. And there's a Frodo as well. Okay. Draw another land. We're still a mana away from Lorien Revealeds, and the Haunt can't attack past a Frodo since it has the same power, so yeah, we're kind of just gonna get got by a bunch of powerful multicolored legends. I tell you what, 1 ring to rule them all looks very bad in this matchup, so good thing we did not draw at game 1. We will probably be sideboarding into the white package, dropping 1 ring to rule them all, dropping the Morgul Knife Wound for 2 Banish from Adoris. Because this is the kind of deck we're going to need extra removal to get rid of things like Theoden and Frodo's on the board as often as possible. Oath of the Grey Host, I think that's too slow. Neither of these cards are going to impact the board immediately, so I think I need to just draw 3 and try to draw into things that will next turn. Well, land is not great, but Soothing a Smeagol is fine. Again, our opponent just on the play plus Mana Dork means they've dropped a 6-drop Generous Ent on us last turn, which is absolutely massive. Okay, so Frodo, they do have the mana to level up once, make it a 2/3 lifelinker. Thanks to the Pathfinder and their planes. They make it a 2/3 lifelinker, it still trades into the Berserker, but then I don't have anything good to kill Legolas with, but I can bounce Legolas after it gets some counters, which I think is fine. Probably going to spend 4 on Oath and 2 on the Soothing of Smeagol, which means I won't have the mana to reanimate a Haunt next turn, so I don't think I chump block just yet. Yeah. They are only 1 mana off from the Pathfinder, giving things +3/+3 trample as well, and that would be really bad. Alright, they're going to crack their Shire Terrace, find a land. Find an island. Ooh, that's a draw. That is much better than playing the Oath of the Grey Host. So now we play that and Soothing a Smeagol. I can steal their Pathfinder, because they're like 4-color good stuff. I don't know how many humans they'll have for Theoden. And Rangers can only steal something with less power, so I can only steal Theoden or Pathfinder. And again, Pathfinder is 1 turn away from giving things Trample. If they draw land, they'll have the 7 mana for Trample. And that's going to be deadly at 11 life here, so I think I need to steal the Pathfinder instead of the Theoden. And then hold up our Soothing a Smeagol. And we'll have to block the Generous Ents with our non-ring-bearing Haunt of the Dead Marshes and bounce the Legolas to get rid of the +1/+1 counter on it. Draw a card, discard a swamp here. And we'll probably want to chump block with their Pathfinder, so that if they find removal for our Rangers of Ithilien, they won't get anything back. But obviously we can't do that right now, it's still tapped. So block the Generous Ent with the Haunt. Bounce the Legolas now or do it in the end step. I think I take 3 and then bounce it in the end step. So they can't just immediately recast it. Okay, end step. Now bounce Legolas. Which is an elf, so it will not trigger Theoden. Alright, again, I'm going to be chump blocking with the Pathfinder, that's why I'm keeping the ring on the Haunt. Cast another Lorien Revealed, and I won't have the mana up to reanimate the Haunt if I do that. I guess with Pathfinder I will. I can block with Pathfinder, reanimate Haunt after a Lorien Revealed. Is that better than Oath? Actually, don't think so. I gotta get this thing set up soon. I'm gonna get it set up right now. I should have waited till post-combat. Pretty bad about that. But you should always wait till post-combat when you have a level 2 Ring Bearer. We draw into a Pelargir Survivor. It's interesting. So I think I'd rather just reanimate Haunt. But I could play the Survivor and eat a food instead. But I'll just get my Scry. Alright, our opponent's going to have 1,000,000 food tokens. We're going to have to get into a commanding lead to win this game. Legolas is back. Maybe it would be better to have Lorien Revealed, because I do have 2 creature counterspells in this deck that I could have maybe got Legolas with. Alright, cool. Now I can do whatever I want with Rangers without worrying about giving them their Pathfinder back. Willowwind, I'll keep it. It affects the board immediately. Seven, 8, 9 if I play the land. 9 mana is still not enough to Willowwind and Lorien Revealed. So let's draw a discard. Find a Kingfisher, drop that. I can play Willowwind and Kingfisher this turn. Can multi-block the Generous Ent, and then I'm going to have to still find a way to deal with Legolas, but I guess I can just keep chumping Legolas every turn. Sauron's Ransom's a good one. Keep that on top. Both of their biggest creatures are legendary. They're both reach, which does make our flying plan significantly weaker in this matchup as well. Relentless Rohirrim, they get a level 1 Ring Bearer. Most importantly, they get Double Strike this turn, but I can just trump that. Give Theoden Double Strike. Okay, I'll block Theoden with the Rangers. Take that trade, since Rangers has already done its thing, and then if I draw into my Sam's Desperate Rescue, a recast of Rangers could be good later. Currently they have nothing Rangers could steal, but maybe eventually. Oh, it's a Ring-Bearing Double Striker. Okay. Then I can't kill it. So I jump there and kill the Generous Ents. It only has 5 power, so it can kill something. It can kill one of these two and my Ring Fisher, but it can't kill my 2 big creatures here. Okay, they're going to kill the Willow Wind and the Kingfisher. Fair enough. Legolas is going to get juiced here. Sauron's Ransom makes our Haunt a level 4 Ring Bearer, which is a lot of damage, but they still have the Shire making more food, so... Don't know how exciting that is, really. 7 mana. Gotta find a way to be blocking Legolas here. I might have to just block Legolas with the Haunt, and then Sauron's Ransom to make one of these 1/1 flyers the Ring Bearer. That's probably the play. Chump Legolas with Haunt of the Dead Marshes, block everything else on board that I can, and Ransom onto a flyer next turn. So we just play some more good blockers while we can. So drop a Willow Wind. A 1/3 is good at blocking Theoden any turn that they don't play a creature. Definitely take Isolation to deal with the Legolas, and I'm not disappointed to hit an Easterling Vanguard either. So I'll keep it there. I do have to make sure I don't mill out. Banish my flyer from Adoris. Okay. Theoden, Rohirrim, and Legolas coming in. We do as you do there. Kill Rohirrim. Chump Legolas. Pretty much it. There's Isolation for Legolas. So Sauron's Ransoms to have a level 4 Ring-Bearing Flyer and then hold up Isolation. We know about the Easterling Vanguard, so if they put it in the face-down pile, we're going to get bonus info, which would be hilarious. 2 Easterling Vanguards! Okay. Double Easterling Vanguard. Or blank blank. I'm tempted to just take double Easterling Vanguard and just play them, give Legolas a turn to swing. And then they can't really get through our Vanguards with Theoden. I mean, they're not great here. I'm really hoping to find like creature counterspells and stuff. Could be in the 2 pile. It's just land. Land isn't even bad, honestly. Sam's Desperate Rescue, Glorious Gale. Hold up. Rangers is 4 mana, right? Yep. Okay, so we go spend a black on Rangers. Okay, so I'm going to spend a black on Rangers on Sam's Desperate Rescue, and then I'm going to pick up Rangers and take Theoden, and we'll just trump Legolas for a turn. Discard Golem because we can bring it back from grave. Pick up Rangers of Ithilien. Cast Rangers of Ithilien and take Theoden. All right. Jump. Land. Empty board? Hold the phone. I could mouth a Sauron myself. Get a real big army at this point. But I also be at 7 cards left. It's probably not where it's at. Probably just gonna Isolation Legolas and hold up a Glorious Gale. Just attack with everybody here. And bring back a bunch of Haunts. Yeah, I'm drawing and discarding a card every turn. I really don't want to mouth a Sauron myself. I could still mouth a Sauron our opponent and get multiple creatures off it. But not while holding up Isolation and Gale, and that's definitely better to do. Probably should have just Isolationed while they were tapped out in case they're running the Hexproof trick. Okay, thank God they're not running the Hexproof trick. Or they didn't have it in hand here, so they get their Theoden back. So I'll need to make sure I have a blocker for that, so let's get the Chumper. Mouth of Sauron, mill the Legolas now. And have a Glorious Gale up. They know about the Glorious Gale, but whatever. This is also 2 more blockers. Scoop! Let's go! 1-0 to start it off in round 1. I am going to get rid of One Ring to rule them all. I also don't feel like Knife Wound is super good against them. Actually, Knife Wound is not bad. It's not good against Legolas, but it's pretty good against Theoden. Good against Pathfinder and Frodo. Not good against Generous Sense. Knife Wound's not terrible. Kind of want to bring in the Banish package. Drop Knife Wound, add in Shire Terrace, Plains, drop Island, Banish. I guess they've got a lot of reach, so we can cut one of the Willow Winds as well as the next card. I'm running 17 lands now, though. I think I'm okay with that to keep our counts high of our main colors still. But it is a little higher on lands. But I could put like the Willow Wind back in and cut another land here or something, but I'll go with this. Alright. We don't get to turn 1 that Haunt of the Dead Marshes, but we've got all 3 colors. Mouth of Sauron's the draw. Let's crack this for a Swamp Pass. Gotta get playing a little bit faster, because if we go to 3 games and things keep taking just as long, it's gonna be pretty bad for me. Okay, I can't play anything to kill Bilbo, but I can drop Uruk-hai Berserker or Kingfisher. I like Kingfisher and then make it the Ring Bearer with Uruk-hai Berserker next turn. And I can cycle Lorien Revealed and play Berserker next turn. Make sure I hit my land drop. Could also just banish Bilbo, which might be worth it, because it'll give them a treasure token every turn. We've seen that they're 4 colors. They play another creature, it's going to be a bummer. Oh my god. I was going to say, they play another creature, it's going to be a bummer, because then if I banish Bilbo, then the other creature is a level 2 Ring Bearer, which is a really big deal. And Aragorn's an incredibly big deal, so we're going to have to just banish Aragorn, which means we need to wait on it for now. I did draw the 4th land naturally, so I don't have to Lorien Revealed here. I can just drop Uruk-hai Berserker and Haunt. I think that is fine. Got a legend on board to reanimate Haunt in the Dead Marshes. Rangers of Ithilien. I can cycle a Lorien Revealed, so we'll keep that. Yeah, this does way too much stuff. Smite on the Haunt to exile it? Yep. How did I get shot in the face? Oh, because Aragorn just does everything. I take 3, yep. There's Rosy Cotton, they get a token, and now they get a food, put a counter on Bilbo. Take 6 here if I don't block. Or 7 even, go to 9. I think I can do that, I'll block and I'll have a Desperate Rescue up, which is cool. Could steal Bilbo this turn off of Rangers by cycling Lorien Revealed and then playing that, but I think I need to just banish Aragorn. And then I just, cycle a Lorien Revealed, play Sam's Desperate Rescue. Guess that's where I'm at here. Does not feel like a pretty winnable game. Bilbo into Aragorn is just nuts. Could draw a card, discard a card off Kingfisher, but I think I need to be able to just trade into a 2/2 if it attacks me, if they can't make any more tokens immediately. Eagles of the North. Wow, that is good. Seems good. Well, chump Bilbo, because if I don't, they get a treasure, which puts another counter on the board. Rangers of Ithilien, the Bilbo, drop a Hellergear Survivor. And we don't take damage on the ground, theoretically. Okay, take 3 in the sky. I'm dead in 2 more flying swings. Ooh. Strider as well. Can do some big stuff on the ground. So they can't block Bilbo well. So make Bilbo level 4. Yep. And draw a card, discard a card going. Okay, get a treasure. Drop a Vanguard. Strider doesn't give trample, just gives first strike, so we've still got a million ground blockers. We just have to find a way to deal with Eagles of the North. Banish Rangers is pretty good. They get Bilbo back, but Bilbo is not their ring bearer anymore. So that's not incredibly concerning. Our main concern is if we don't find a way to deal with Eagles, we're just dead, and that's not a way to deal with Eagles. So that'll do it. Can't make a ring bearer here, can't make a flyer. Gotta move on to game 3. Alright, here we are on the play for game 3. Pretty bad mana here. No black source, no white source, only blue, and we don't even have 3 blue to play Kingfisher guaranteed. I think I have to mulligan. Okay, we've got black and blue. I need double blue for Rangers, but I think it's still a keep. We drop Haunt turn 1, get rid of a swamp because I need 2 islands and 2 swamps to cast Rangers anyway. And there's island number 1. We can use Lorien Revealed for island 2. And that is a turn 4 Rangers at worst. I think I do need to just cycle Lorien Revealed here to guarantee the turn 4 Rangers. And then if I draw any 3 mana cards, I can play them without having to cycle Lorien Revealed. Okay, draw Haunt of the Dead Marshes. Find a Mouth of Sauron? Sure. 2 solid-sized creatures off 1 card. It's pretty great. Opponent passes turn, then I hold up Isolation at Orthanc. I'm not going to Rangers without stealing something. Smite a Haunt. You got it. Pass turn. The Shire Terrace. They've got 1 instant in their grave. We've got 1 sorcery in our grave. We have more in our deck. But if the game goes long, we could mill out before them. So I think I'm still going to target them. Even though our orc's going to be a little smaller targeting them on average. And that works out fine. 2/2 orc armies probably about the average what we would have gotten. 1 instant or sorcery out of the top 3. Oh, hi, Aragorn. Well, I've got the Gale for if they recast it later. So I just bounce it and attack with everybody. They're down to 9. Meriadoc Brandybuck, I can steal that. Or I can steal Rosy Cotton now that Meridoc's a 3/3. Yeah, Meridoc's a 3/3, so I can't steal Meriadoc. I guess if I play Rangers here, I don't get to counter Aragorn anymore. So I should just counter Aragorn with Gale and Shire Terrace for Plains this turn. Attack with Mouth of Sauron, they double block. Well, this is kind of a rough turn. I guess we're just not doing anything. Pathfinder. If I grab a blue source off Shire Terrace, I can play Rangers on the offensive. So if they play nothing else, I probably have to crack Shire Terrace for a blue source. Then if I draw any banishes, that's going to be awkward. Alright, yeah, I think I need to just be able to play Rangers on the offensive here while holding up Glorious Gale. Steal Rosie or the Pathfinder? I feel like Rosie's the bigger issue right now. Not that I can really make any tokens of my own, but 2 mana away from buffing with, maybe it is Pathfinder. I don't know, them getting counters on stuff, excuse me, would be really bad. Put the ring on my 2/2 and all they can do is chump block with Pathfinder or take 2 damage. Slip on the ring, okay. That's pretty annoying here. That's actually ridiculously good here. Okay, you found the situation for Slip on the Ring. Oh wow, the ring doesn't even tempt me if they get rid of the target? That might be a game-winning Slip on the Ring. Alright, well that really sucked. Okay then. Ring-bearing Rangers is pretty sick here. They can't block with Meriadoc, so they just take 3 or chump. And it's got Vigilance. And Sphere is also very sick here, so I guess whatever we make the ring bear, they just kill with that. Ooh, speaking of things that are sick, incredible top deck's incredible. Rescue the Rangers. Ring onto the Mouth of Sauron, I guess. For max damage here. They are 1 mana away from Pathfinder buffs. Take Pathfinder. Draw a card, discard a card. Find a Glorious Gale. Send in Meriadoc, get a food. Get my free chump in here. I'm not going to reanimate in the upkeep because I've got a draw discard I can spend, and then I can just start doing this during their end step every turn as the plan. They've got a combat trick here on Rangers that'd be kind of bad for me. They get the Pathfinder back. Feels super likely we haven't seen a lot of combat tricks from them. Most likely would just be flat removal. Take it all. Just eat a bunch of food. Fair enough. Well, at that rate, now that they're down to 4, I think I'd rather Lorien Reveal than hold up Glorious Gale than reanimate a Haunt. Could play an Uruk-hai Berserker now, but I can play it next turn, turn someone into a level 4 Ring Bearer. And this way I have Haunt mana up if they don't cast something to Gale. Could be better to Berserker, because then I just have more attackers, but again, if they don't cast a creature here, then I'll still have just as many attackers thanks to Haunt of the Dead Marshes coming back. I think I'm just taking 6 damage to the face if they attack with Brandybuck again. So I can leave as many attackers as possible. Legolas. Gale that. Level 4 Ring-Bearing Rangers. Rangers is already a big target for removal, so I'll keep it on the Mouth of Sauron. Okay, Brandybuck can't block the mouth, so they're just going to attack anyway. They have enough mana to eat 1 food, so I might be able to crack back for lethal here. They're at 7 with 1 blocker on board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I make the Pathfinder the Ring Bearer, they block the Pathfinder, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If I make the 2/2 the Ring Bearer, they block the 2/2, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we make the 2/2 the Ring Bearer, because then they have to block there, because that's the highest power creature, and they don't kill something on blocks here. If they do somehow manage to survive, they don't kill any of our creatures on this block. Okay, did not think that game was working out for us, but we got a really good recovery in the end with just a bunch of really solid ring temp shenanigans going on. Doubling up Rangers of Athelion is always completely absurd, so that helped a lot, and we're going to start it off 1-0 as we head into round 2. Here we are on the play for round 2. Not a very proactive hand here. We've got no creatures to play or anything, but solid mana. I am going to keep it. Desperate Rescue in the opener is real awkward. Lorien Revealed at 5 mana is pretty awkward. Just gotta hope our opponent doesn't have a real aggressive sealed pool. It's nice and slow and dirty like it tends to be. We've got some great late game value here. Take over the course of a long game. Black-red from our opponent. They are going to play a Call of the Ring. That is a mega, mega, mega bomb. The ring tempts them during their upkeep every single turn. So they're going to be at level 4 Ring Bearers really quickly, and every creature they play for the rest of the game, they can choose to put the Ring Bearer on it during their upkeep. So basically every creature in their whole deck is going to be doing 3 extra damage whenever it hits us and drawing and discarding them a card. And that's not to mention the fact that they can pay 2 life and draw a card every time the ring tempts them as well. So Call of the Ring is an incredible bomb that is really good against our deck because we don't have any removal for Call of the Ring, and it is a very consistent value spell. Speaking of cards that are incredible against our deck, Smite the Deathless is very rude against our Golem and our Haunt of the Dead Marshes. So that's a pretty big bummer for us. This is already looking like a real bad matchup. Call of the Ring and Smite being the first two cards we've seen. Hard Dreams Spearmaster. With Call of the Ring on the board, every single creature they potentially resolve is a really big issue, but I can just Knife Wound that one at least, and it won't have enough power to matter. It will be able to draw a card, make them discard, but it won't be able to do the 3 life loss. And I guess because they have a creature on board, they can pay the 2 and draw a card as well. Maybe we should Soothing it. I think I'm just going to Knife Wound it, though. It feels really inevitable that they're going to have something on board to pay the life into drawing cards off of Call of the Ring. So I'm going to save Gale for a better creature and use Knife Wound on this one. At least if they want to draw the card off Call of the Ring, it costs them 4 life. Since we've got a Knife Wound on board. Okay, they are just going to let the Spearmaster die. Which is fine with us. Keeps them from drawing cards off Call of the Ring. Play Great Hall of the Citadel and pass. Alright. If I draw one more land, I can cast Lorien Revealed and still hold up Gale, so I'm going to hold on to it, because again, any creature that resolves with a Call of the Ring on board is an incredibly big deal. I guess since I have Soothing a Smeagol, I don't have to worry that much, but happy to have the Gale for Eowyn there. Played out fine for us. Because I guess we would have taken 3 haste damage there if I just went for Lorien Revealed, but that would be the argument for casting it, is that if they resolve a creature, I just Soothing it and then counter it. Probably should focus on actually getting a board state before I draw more cards right now. Since I drew into a Willow-Wind. Ditch those lands. Pass the turn. We're probably going to have to Soothing whatever creature they play when they go to their upkeep and try to make it the Ring Bearer. Because when they make it the Ring Bearer, they can pay 2 and draw a card. Very low on creatures in their hand, though, so things are going A-okay over here. I can cast Lorien Revealed and probably still cast Easterling Vanguard as well. Yep. That's going to be great. Again, I don't need to Soothing of Smeagol until they go to their upkeep with a creature on board. If they have a flash creature here, that's going to be a problem for me, but I don't think there are any in black and red. There's Orcish Bowmasters. I mean, if they have Orcish Bowmasters, we're just real dead against a deck with Call of the Ring and Orcish Bowmasters. That would be a premium collection of rares there. Alright, Breaking of the Fellowship to kill the Vanguard. We still have an army. And the Ring tempts them when they don't have a creature on board. It's just 4 color all removal. Maybe Call of the Ring isn't that bad. If they only have like 10 or less creatures in their deck, Call of the Ring is much less scary. They seem to have a lot of instant sorceries in there, so I like milling them with the Mouth of Sauron, and we still have Soothing a Smeagol mana up. I could play the Uruk-hai Berserker to draw a card, discard a card here, be at level 3 of the Ring. It's not super exciting though. So I'm just going to drop Mouth of Sauron and buff up this army, get a big attack immediately if they don't kill it in response. This will be at least a 3/3, because we're amassing at least 2. They can't have a counter spell. They could have the return a spell to its owner's hand, draw a card. But they can't cast non-creatures off Great Hall of the Citadel. Alright, we didn't mill any more instant sorceries. We milled their Envelope and some lands. I could Soothing my own Willow-Wind, I guess. But I really want to make sure they have no creatures on board with Call of the Ring, so I think I'm just saving Soothing and Isolation for their stuff. But this is true to consider. Our Soothing of Smeagol is really good in this matchup against Fog, because we can bounce our own creature. Okay, I'm going to end up bouncing that during their upkeep anyway, so I might as well bounce it right now, get that mana investment out of the way. And then they'll have to recast it for 6 mana, which skips their whole next turn, and we just play Isolation after they do that. I think we're pretty locked in here. Because now we're going to have a level 4 Ring Bearer as well. So we're really going to hit them hard. Because we play Uruk-hai Berserker and then hold up Isolation mana. Isolation after they cast the Eagles again. And this should lock in the victory for us pretty quickly. Should be like 2 attacks, basically. Draw a card, discard a card. Discard a swamp. Hit for 9. Unless they have a great 1 mana card. Golem's Bite the Uruk-hai Berserker. Okay, still hit for 9. Which is still lethal in 2 attacks. If they just tap out for the Eagles again, they're dead. Gothmog is the play, so they're not dead. They'll still have an orc army to chump block with here. Could I Desperate Rescue anything and kill them? No, none of these creatures are gonna get rid of one of their blockers. Could Isolation my own Willow Wind, but it doesn't go to the top of my deck, it goes second from the top, so I can't like immediately recast it anyway. Yeah, I guess we're putting Gothmog back in there. Forcing them into a chump with their other creature. Casting a Kingfisher. A Kingfisher and a Willow Wind. Lots of flying damage. That should be pretty big. Oh my god, Rangers of Athelion. Now I just cast the Willow Wind and have a Rangers for later. Then I could still rescue back the Kingfisher immediately if I want to. Yeah. Playing the 3/4 flyer over the 2/1 because they've got a 3/3 flyer coming up. I'm going to hold on to rescue. It might be a little greedy, but I like being able to move the ring around at instant speed. Well, not at instant speed, but being able to move the ring around again. If they have removal for my orc army. Then I can do the ring tempt without having to cast Rangers. Alright. Alright, well, that game played out really, really well for us. I don't feel the need to run banishes in here because they feel pretty low on creatures. But I think they would still be fine. They might be better than the Destroy All Non-Legends because we've seen Gothmog and Eowyn. We know they're playing Great Hall of the Citadel. Definitely much less scared of Call of the Ring than I was initially because they drew very few creatures in general. Take a look at our blue and black again. I would rather just swap out some blue and black cards than add the white splash back in. But I don't really want to play One Ring to rule them all again. Maybe I just put like a Lembas in here. It's just a pretty filler card. The scry one, draw one in there. I don't hate it. Yeah, I mean, it really feels like our other blue and black cards are so filler generally that anytime we want to cut One Ring to rule them all, we probably are just moving into the Banish Splash, but it doesn't feel super duper necessary here. But I feel like it's probably a better build than just a Lembas in here still. I don't know. I'll just throw in the Lembas. We'll make things different this round than they were last time. Blue-black Lembas. Well, I love this hand. Against their deck. Against really aggressive decks, I would not be a fan of this. But based on how last game played out, this hand looks pretty great. Frodo, Sauron's Bane. Okay, that is a significantly cheaper creature than everything they cast last game. That is actually an issue. Inherited Envelope, make Frodo the Ring Bearer. Could just bounce Frodo here, slow them down. Gonna be hard to block a 1/2 ring bearer. It's also gonna be hard to block a 2/3 life linking ring bearer if they dump the mana into it. Realistically, though, am I gonna Glorious Gale Frodo when they cast it? Like, probably not, right? I guess if they get triple black, I'll have to get rid of Frodo, and they already have double black between Swamp and Envelope, so yeah, soothing Frodo and then counter it with Gale might actually be what we gotta do here. If I top deck my Haunt the Dead Marshes, this will be fantastic. Oh, right. I needed to bounce that in the end step. Alright, that was a big punt. But I guess I have Gale for their next card now. Totally forgot. Artifacts do not have summoning sickness. I don't know what happened with my brain. Oh, great. Okay. We might just die to a Frodo, because they do have triple black. That was so bad. That was so loose. We're just handing out punts like nobody's business. Let's go. Easterling Vanguard. This is so frustrating because Frodo's still the only creature they've cast, so if I just bounced it in the end step, they'd have no creatures right now still. Frodo is more than big enough that we can get like a triple block on Frodo, because we can block Frodo with a bunch of smaller things. Unless their hand is just all removal again. Okay. If they don't have removal, we can block Frodo with Mouth of Sauron and an army. I can't believe how much we would have just won this game if I played right. Come on. Well, solid mills are solid. They do have cheap creatures. Got an Easterling Vanguard, a Grishnak, they've got a Frodo. It's a Knife Wound to make sure we can't kill Frodo this turn. I can still chump Frodo. Make sure that they don't level up the ring again. Since the Mouth is just gonna cost 2 life to keep around every turn anyway. I'm still in a position where if I deal with Frodo, we're winning this game. I think I Willowwind and Scry into another land so I can rescue and cast Mouth of Sauron next turn. These are not lands. I could have cycled the Lore Revealed, then cast Willowwind to guarantee a land next turn, but I figured 3 cards deep we should be able to find a land. We scried 2 to the bottom, the third one might be a land. If any cards in the top 3 are a land, then we get to Desperate Rescue, cast Mouth of Sauron next turn. Oh my god, dude. You got it, move on to level 4. Oh, Gluck. Okay. Wow. Well, that really sucks. Our opponent would have done nothing for like 10 turns if we just countered Frodo. Can't believe I just blanked on the envelope just being able to recast it. We're not dead yet. If they don't have more removal, we can chump Frodo and take 5 from Ugluk, but what a really sad way to punt this game away. Oh my god, there's no land in the top 6? Okay. I mean, there's no way we win. If I weren't recording, I would have snap conceded after seeing that. Cool, and they've got more removal still. Alright, that was completely self-imposed. Just a very human monkey brain fart thing with the envelope. Really frustrating though, because I think our matchup here is actually really, really good. I think the the general lower creature count in their deck is not playing out super well for them, plus some more filler stuff like Ugluck adding to that creature count. Feels super winnable. Last game was super winnable if I just didn't monkey brain it, but it is what it is. We are fleshy sacks of moronic goop. Not a lot of interaction here, pretty high on lands, but two pretty solid cards to get started, and we've got both our colors. I am going to keep it on the play. Drawn to an Easterling Vanguard to get things curving out. And the opponent is going to Plane Cyclone Eagles of the North. And then crack the Shire Terrace for a black source. Got a Lorien revealed later, that's pretty great. We've got a curve here for sure. Alright, 3 colors from our opponent now. Fear Fire Foes. Pretty busted magic card, seems good. Wipe our board here. Drop the Oath of the Grey Host while we can afford to play cards that don't immediately impact the board. It's nice to have the Fear Fire Foes out of the way so that we might get to actually keep all of our flying 1/1s. Mortar Muster, draw a card, amass 1. Drop a mountain. So, thanks to Oath of the Grey Host giving us a treasure, we're 1 mana away from casting a 5-drop and holding up Gale. So I'm going to play the 5-drop that affects the board and hope to scry into a 6th land. Then I can cast Lorien Revealed and hold up Gale next turn, which does feel quite good. And hopefully they just spend next turn playing one of their 50 removal spells on our Willow Wind, rather than playing a creature of their own. Okay, there's a land, there's an Isolation. I'm into both of those cards when I have a draw 3 coming up. So I'll keep them and pass the turn. And then we'll just start chipping in with a bunch of flyers soon enough. Breaking of the Fellowship to kill our 1/1. Okay. Does let them start attacking me for 1 damage. I probably would have just held that, but I'm cool with it. Maybe they have another way for the ring to tempt them. They want to get it up to level 2 here so they can draw and discard and loot into some good stuff. That could explain the use of the breaking. Morgul Knife Wound. Okay, they just want to spend a bunch of 1/1 removal, wipe out our whole board. That is fine with me. We'll have 3 flyers coming up next turn. 0/4 flyer really doesn't do anything, so I'm just going to let it die. Pay 2 life. I guess I could draw into Soothing to put it back in my hand, but it's going to take a while and I'm going to pay a lot of life to try to do that, so I don't think I should. See, pay 2 life, decline the 2 life. Okay, Lorien Revealed, draw 3, play a land and have a Glorious Gale up. Haunt of the Dead Marshes is the draw. I'd have to crack a treasure to do that, and I wouldn't be holding up Gale, so I'll save that for next turn. Foray of Orcs. Incredible card, but it just kills 1/1/1 here, and makes their 1 pre-existing army bigger, so that makes our isolation even better. We're pretty chill with that. Okay, take 3. They are going to be winning the race by a little bit, but I don't feel the need to kill their army until it's a level 2 Ring Bearer. Now I can just play multiple Haunts to scry 2. and have some chumps against the army. Okay, scry that land to the bottom. Sauron's Ransom I will certainly keep on top. We'll be getting a level 2 Ring Bearer soon enough, but I like being able to cast Isolation and Glorious Gale in one turn, so I'm going to still play this land. And since the ring is going to tempt us when we cast Sauron's Ransom, we will have a legendary on board after we do that. So I will definitely start chumping with a Haunt of the Dead Marshes if they keep attacking with their army. No way we're letting Frodo down. After what happened last time, we accidentally let Frodo down. Ring-bearing Flyer. Call of the Ring. A very good magic card if they have creatures on board. Doesn't do anything right now. So I can isolation the army in response to them trying to make it the Ring Bearer. I guess I could just do it right now anyway. Probably do it in the end step here, wait to see if they play a better creature before they pass turn. Okay, isolation this during the end step. So they have nothing to Call of the Ring onto. Cool, that's gone. We draw into the Mouth of Sauron. Actually, no reason to cast it pre-combat, because level 3 of the ring doesn't do anything. I guess the reason to cast it pre-combat is we could discard a card. We can draw and discard one of the 2 cards that we draw off of it. I still think it's probably better post-combat in case they have a smite to blow up a flyer. It's kind of close. I might cast it in response to the draw and discard trigger if it seems like they are not planning on blowing up that. Yeah, if I move to combat and they didn't blow up a creature, then I cast Sauron's Ransom in response to the trigger on the stack, so now I cast it. Excuse me? Why do I have the full control to do that? As now I know you have to play in full control mode to cast an instant before you get your draw a card, discard a card trigger to resolve. Which was very relevant here because, again, we didn't want to main phase the Ransom because then they would smite in response. Looking for interaction more than creatures, and that pile did have interactions, so that played well. But yeah, that was important here because we needed to see if they were going to burn our Ring Bear before we could declare an attack with it. And then if they didn't burn it, we were going to Sauron's Ransom. So that's a pretty big bummer. Luckily for us, we still draw really, really well here. I'm holding up a Soothing now for whatever they Call of the Ring. We have 2 ways for the ring to tempt us, so we're definitely going to have a level 4 Ring Bearer, which is big damage. But we are definitely learning some things this round to use in the future about playing tighter and about playing in full control mode for Arena to not screw us over sometimes. I guess on the plus side, if I Sauron's Ransomed into these cards, I probably still would have ended up casting or discarding the Morgul Knife Wound over these 2. I guess I could have bounced that in response to the trigger to stop them from drawing a card, but if they draw a card, they go to 9. And we're going to hit them for 5 in the sky, putting them to 4 life. I think we're cool with them taking the 2. So I'm just going to wait till the end step and see if they play a better creature or just the Berserker. Plus this way I still have the Haunt mana to reanimate that instead, and I can just bounce the Berserker during my turn. Okay, what am I going to do with Sam's Desperate Rescue? Pick up an Uruk-hai Berserker, Kingfisher. We actually don't have anything great to Desperate Rescue, so I'm probably just going to Soothing the Berserker. So let's Haunt here, scry 1, then Soothing the Berserker during our turn. Easterling Vanguard is a fine draw. I'm going to attack with everybody, so if they did draw into another Smite the Deathless, since they haven't cast any this game, if they try to smite our Ring Bearer when we declare the attack, we can move it around. I guess I should Desperate Rescue. That way I have a level 4 Ring Bearer hitting them whether or not they cast Smite. Yeah, I guess I need to cast this even though I don't have anything great to pick up. Just pick up the Flyer. This way I've got a level 4 Ring Bearer threatening to hit them. I'm actually going to pick up Uruk-hai Berserker, I think. And just hold that for later to really make sure we always have a level 4 Ring Bearer. So send in. If they've got a Smite, I can Soothing of Smeagol before the Smite resolves. Or after the Smite resolves to move the ring to something else and still get my damage in. Okay, they don't have a Smite. This is fine too. I'll just Soothing when they call of the ring. I guess they could still, even if I Soothing this, they can just recast it and then the ring tempts them when they play it and then they can still draw their card. So it's actually not necessary, really, to Soothing the Berserker right now. So I'm just going to hold that again for instant speed ring tempt, and if we don't need to do anything, we haunt the Dead Marshes, and we make sure we have 2 ways to move the ring around. In case they blow something up at sorcery speed, then we move it during our turn, and then still have Soothing to move it again when we go to combat damage. We'll have to do a lot to survive here. We'll need another Fear Fire Foes or something. Even if they have a Fear Fire Foes, ooh, that's interesting. Even if they have a Fear Fire Foes, we'll still have an army that we can make a Ring Bearer and kill them with. Just bounce their 1/1 so they can't block the army. Grishnak's interesting. Doesn't matter too much though, since we're at 17. I think we just let it all happen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They need to do 9 extra damage here. They can do like 4 extra damage if they have an improvised club to sacrifice our Vanguard, but then they still die on the crackback. Okay, send in with both. Draw a card, discard a card. Deal 8 damage to us. I think I'm just keeping Soothing for during my turn, during attacks. So let's get Haunt. Actually get rid of Lorien Revealed because I'm just going for like insta-lethal. Because if we don't kill them like this turn, they're going to keep hitting us with level 4 Ring Bearers and we're going to die pretty quick. Okay. We attack all with Soothing of Smeagol up, so they need 2 instant speed pieces of removal. I'm going to hold full control this time in case Arena wants to be a jerk. In case Arena wants to be stupid again. See, I can't believe I have to hold that to be able to cast this before the ring resolves. They do have the Golem's Bite for that. Resolve that. They need another removal spell here. Let's draw a card, discard a card. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7. I have the mana for all these without the island. Let them make their blocks. 2 damage on board. We trade into Grishnak, we get an army as a backup. So we bounce the Berserker here. Make the Flyer the Ring Bearer again. Lethal damage. Okay. That round was much harder than it needed to be, and it was completely self-imposed. I think we would have gotten a very easy victory in game 2 if I bounced Frodo in their end step instead of during combat to stop 1 damage. When they had the mana to immediately recast Frodo, that was such a big punt that I need to make really certain not to repeat in the future. So big learning moment there. Luckily, we do get it as a learning moment and still win the match. So pretty happy with that. We are now 2-0 as we head into round 3. Here we are on the play for round 3. A lack of a blue source is kind of a big deal. Haunt can at least scry towards it. We got to hit one by turn 3. We have 3 draw steps to do it, because I scry 1, and then I draw 1, then I draw 1, then I need the blue source. It's a little greedy, but I'm going to keep it. We have 10 blue sources in this deck, because we have 8 islands and 2 island cyclers. So I think with Haunt in the hand, it's reasonable to try to get to the blue. So scry that Glorious Gale to the bottom, since it's not a blue source. There's a Wizard's Rockets turn 1 from our opponent, and we have found the blue source turn 2. So we will be playing an Athelian Kingfisher on turn 3, probably a Mouth of Sauron turn 5, maybe a Willow Wind. Playing against black-green, there's a March from the Black Gate, a very solid card. Make sure every time that they've got an army on board, it's just going to keep snowballing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger every time it attacks. So we'll definitely attack them with the Haunt. If they take the trade, that's just good for us because they won't be leveling up again. And then we'll be blocking with Kingfisher, forcing them to spend a combat trick to keep the army around and keep it snowballing up. So we'll be on attack and then drop Kingfisher on blocks. Okay, we do draw into a Lorien Revealed, which I can't afford to island cycle right now, but I'll probably be island cycling that next turn, make sure we get to 5 mana for our very important 5 drops. So we hit for 1, we drop to Kingfisher, see what they've got coming up turn 3. Crack a Wizard's Rockets for 0, just to draw a card, and drop land number 3. Definitely go for the trade into a combat trick or the army. We trade into the army. Drawn to a Rangers of Athelion. 4 mana. Does take any creature. It can take tokens, so I'm just going to hold on to the Rangers, which means I'm just cycling a Lorien Revealed here to guarantee 5 drops next turn. So poke for 1. Cycle a Lorien Revealed during their end step. Galadrim Guide. I cannot take that with the Rangers of Athelion, but I can certainly play one of my 5 drops. Okay, draw another land. It's a little sad. I'm gonna wait on the Mouth of Sauron until it's like even bigger. I'm just gonna drop a Willow Wind for now. Grab an Uruk-hai Berserker. That'll be 2 levels of the ring, because Rangers of Athelion and Uruk-hai Berserkers. So that'll get it to where we're drawing, discarding a card every turn, which is a very big deal. I love how we basically just played the flying version of their card. They played the 4 mana 3/4 scry 2, we played the 5 mana flying 3/4 scry 2. There's an Uruk-hai Berserker of their own, very good card. Unfortunately, a bunch of 3-power stuff. Rangers of Athelion can't do anything to 3-power cards. So I can play an Uruk-hai Berserker and a Morgul Knife Wound here. Not really worried about a 3/2 Ringbearer. A 3/4 Ringbearer would be a big deal, so I think I play Uruk-hai Berserker on the Haunt, attack with both, and then Knife Wound the Guide after combat, because if I Knife Wound the Guide before combat, they can block my Ringbearer with it. They are down to 13, which means they are probably Going to be convinced to just sack the guide. They got a Bombadil song? Nasty end, okay. That is also solid. I'm gonna hold on to this land since, again, when we play Rangers of Ithilien, we'll have a level 2 Ring Bearer. We will draw a card and discard a card. I mean, I'm at 20. I actually think I just take this and then crack back this Berserker. If that were a level 2 Ring Bearer, I'd snap trade. Legolas. Please don't have a cheap spell to play with it. They don't, and we're about to Rangers of Ithilien a Legolas. That's gonna be filthy. We need to move our Ring Bearer, otherwise the Pathfinder just trades for the Haunt, and we don't get to draw a discard every turn. We just do it one turn. So let's put the Ring Bearer onto the Flyer, since that'll be the easiest card to keep attacking with, getting our draw a card, discard a card trigger. Drawn to a Pelargir Survivor. I will keep that and cast it. They're down to 6. Here's the Survivor. Pass the turn. If they've got removal for Rangers of Ithilien, it will be solid. Voracious Fellbeast. That is solid, but it's not removal for Rangers. Let's full control so I could scry in my upkeep. Oops. Slightly too late. That's okay. I think I was going to decide not to do it anyway so that I could Mouth of Sauron if I want. Sauron's Ransom's good. Willow Wind is already 3 damage that they can't block. So if I find another way for the ring to tempt me, they'll just die. So I kind of like digging with Sauron's Ransom and looking for that. Picking whatever pile has a chance of getting the ring to tempt me. For just immediate lethal this turn. We might already have lethal. They can block these 2 on the ground. No, we'll deal 5 damage to them if I attack with everybody. And I have a level 3 Ring Bearer. So again, I'm just going to snap choose whatever pile has a chance at the ring tempting. If they show me a card where the ring tempts me, I'm taking it. And if they don't, I'm taking the face down pile. Oh. Okay, that was just the scoop there. They just gave me the pile of all 4. I don't know if that was intentional, giving me the pile with all 4 cards to just scoop, or if they misclicked and they were like, God dang it. It's kind of funny either way. So let's check out that battlefield. We saw like no legends from them. They have ways for the ring to tempt them, but I actually think the one ring to rule them all looks solid in this matchup. Oh, they have Legolas, but we stole that. That's the only legend we saw, straight up. Yeah, one ring to rule them all looks okay. Morgul Knife Wound played out well. I like the main deck. I don't think we need to dirtle around with adding a 3rd color here. Just hope to run it back, draw pretty well again. Very solid opening hand. Survivor can't help ramp into the Oath of the Grey Host, which is a little sad, but still a good curve. Probably Kingfisher rather than Berserker on turn 3. Well, yeah, there's March from the Blackgate again. March from the Blackgate, much better on the play than on the draw, but we were very lucky and drew a 2-power creature to trade into the army if they attack in. Again, we're just going to immediately trade into the army every possibility that we get, every chance we get when they play March from the Blackgate. Alright, show us the combat trick. No combat trick, we will absolutely take it. And there's a Glorfindel, Dauntless Rescuer. Uh-oh, another legend. So when they scry, they do some gross stuff. They force me into a block that's probably not good. It only gets +1/+1, so if I have 3 power over here, I can still kill it. So Uruk-hai Berserker single-handedly kills it, or Kingfisher plus army. I think I'd rather just drop the Berserker and 1-for-1 trade into it, just attack for 1 here. If they scry twice in 1 turn, though, that'll be a big deal, though. Make the Berserker too small to kill it and force the Berserker to block it. But if they only scry once, Berserker trade into Glorfindel is solid. And if they don't scry at all, the trade is still good. Alright. Go for the trade again. They do have the combat trick this time, which is fine. We'll get that out of the way. Cool, and they do nothing else with their mana this turn then. Let's make the most of our mana here. I can take another 3 from Glorfindel. Yeah. Drop Oath of the Grey Host, take 3 damage from Glorfindel. Just make sure to attack with the army so that it doesn't get forced into a chump block. Not that excited about the 1 damage I'm getting here, but it is pretty important to not have to just chump with it if they scry. They're going to Orcish Medicine just to get the army started again with March from the Blackgate. Alright, fair enough. That is good, because of March from the Blackgate. Now an Uruk-hai Berserker to get a Ring Bearer here, make the army a Ring Bearer. So I'm going to drop Willowwind next turn, then we can block their... I'm definitely dropping Willowwind this turn. But now we can block their 3/3 army with a 3/4 Willowwind. And I think I'm actually... I might be interested in keeping a land. I could play Willowwind and Survivor thanks to my treasure if I do. I think I'm just going to ditch them though anyway, because I don't think Survivor's very good on the board. But I'm actually going to not attack with the army so that if they do scry one and I get forced to block Glorfindel, I can still block the army with Willowwind. Okay. Take 6 here. If they have another combat trick, they're in a real good position, because then it's going to be real hard to kill this orc army in the future. But if they have a combat trick, it's going to be much more than +1/+1, so I'm not going to slap the army onto this block. It's going to be +1/+2, or it's going to be indestructible, or it's going to be something else. Nasty End, draw 3 cards. Very nice. Down to 9. We're going to get our 3 tapped flyers now, but again, emphasis on the word tapped here. Drop another Willowwind, I think, and hold up these blocks. Trying to grind out this long game. With a lot of scry and card draw and stuff. We've got a lot of flying damage on the board if I can get into a position where I have good non-flying blockers. But right now, if I'm hitting them in the sky, I'm also not blocking well, and I'm at 9 life, so I don't really want to do that. Generous Ent. Well, now no one gets to attack, because that is a 5/7 with reach. We're going to have to get the ring to tempt us, and then start attacking with a Willowwind. Speaking of the ring tempting us, 1 ring to rule them all. Don't think it's actually super good right now, but I could set it up to be good and just make sure not to play more legends. And then we just make a legendary Willowwind and then destroy all non-legends. We've got plenty. We can just trump everything the turn after we play this. Yeah, we wait till they play another creature or 2, I think. So I just Lorien Revealed right now. Just setting up to be ahead in card advantage. First, I'm going to play this land even though I am going to be drawing discarding sometime soon. Because 5 mana is not like a ton for endgame. I should be playing another land or 2, and I've scried so many to the bottom at this point. Okay, well, we can't... I could attack with the army, I guess. I suppose it's like, might as well. But yeah, I think we're waiting, hoping that they play another non-legendary or 2, and then we're just gonna 1 ring to rule them all. They'll get 1 swing, but after that swing, we'll blow up all the non-legends. Just send in a Generous Ent. That's pretty dang hard to kill right now. I guess they kill all of our 1/1s, or they kill a Willowwind and a 1/1. If they have another ambush, though, for +1/+2 Death Touch, they kill everybody, and we're going to lose real fast. Probably have to play another ambush, or play around another ambush. Since I have the 1 ring anyway. Okay, another non-legendary. Another non-legendary? Okay, 2 more non-legendaries, good enough for me. Don't think I'm actually attacking with my Ring Bearer this turn. I'm just turning it into a Willow-Wind so that a Willow-Wind is still around after this happens. Milled a Haunt, that's pretty sweet. And now I have mana to hold up Isolation, thanks to our treasure token. We just pass from here and get all the chump blocks. Since everyone's gonna die anyway. Try to get the board state to be 1 Willow-Wind versus 1 Glorfindel. If they have the ring tempt them, we Isolation whatever they make the Ring Bearer. Or Glorfindel, I guess. Just a legendary. Okay. Time to enter the chump zone. Glorfindel must be blocked by 1 creature. So I'll just put a 1/1 on Glorfindel. I'm not going to play around enchantment removal. Maybe I should, but I'm not going to do it here. I'm going to put Willow-Wind on a 1/3. I think. Or I just don't really want to block with this this legendary Willow-Wind. So I guess I can put this Willow-Wind on Berserker. But yeah, playing around enchantment removal would be also blocking with this Willow-Wind, but I'd rather play around a Death Touch combat trick than an enchantment removal spell here. I suppose if they have a Death Touch combat trick, I can Isolation in response, but if they have enchantment removal, I can't do anything about it. So maybe I am supposed to take the kill on one of these lookouts, but I don't want to have to spend an Isolation on a lookout if they do have the Death Touch trick in hand. So I think I'm just going to not block and take the 1 here. But it is true that I have that backup plan. Okay, they've got a land. They've got 2 cards in hand after this board wipe. Or just Isolation during their end step so they have no creatures left. Kinda do. Clear that board. Now I can just spend all my mana at sorcery speed. I'm going to Lorien Revealed pre-combat so I have more options of what to discard to Willow-Wind. Okay, I'm going to want to play one of these lands for the Kingfisher, but let's attack now. Discard a swamp here, keep all the islands, yep. There's Kingfisher. Pass the turn from there. They've got a lot of creatures engraved, don't they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're going to take 5 damage from level 3 of the One Ring to rule them all. It's a Fell Beast. Well, I'm very glad to have played a creature. Sack the Kingfisher then. Okay, they're down to 15. We can Knife Wound the Fell Beast, but I should do that post-combat. What can I One Ring, or what can I Sam's Desperate Rescue? I can bring back the Kingfisher, doesn't really matter. Bring back the Uruk-hai Berserker, have a level 4 Willow-Wind is actually huge. I'm going to do that. Really big damage here. And post-combat Knife Wound plus Survivor, I think. But we'll see what we draw into. That's a real good card. Instant Speedway for the ring to tempt us. Now we've got 2 instant Speedways for the ring to tempt us. Move that around. I'm going to put the Knife Wound on the Fell Beast and hold up our instants. And if we don't cast one of our instants, we can bring back the Haunt. Okay, Fellbeast gets exiled. Glorfindel's back. And there's the concession from our opponent. That is 3-0 now in this qualifier weekend so far. So we're going to be getting a nice, hefty amount of gems, however things go from here. Yep, we're locked into 5,000 gems. I'm going to have more than 40k gems in my account right now. This is the most gems I've ever had. We've been having a real good record with the Lord of the Rings format in general, which feels pretty nice. See if we can't keep it up as we head into round 4. Here we are for round 4. We're going to start game 1 on the play. No black source is a pretty big deal here. We don't get to drop Haunt on 1 or Golem on 2. All we have is a Glorious Gale, which is very reactive, and then we have to hit 5 lands for Lorien Revealed. I think we got a mulligan here. Okay, this is considerably better. Probably drop Willow Wind, as Mouth of Sauron is generally going to be a stronger 5-drop, and I don't think I should drop the interaction of Soothing a Smeagol, nor should I drop a land with a powerful 5-drop. Either way we keep this. Yeah, I think I gotta get rid of Willow Wind here. Maybe Soothing a Smeagol. I think those were the 2 cards in contention for the mulligan. Lorien Revealed is just the best card out of everything in the hand, since if we draw lands, it's going to be a very powerful card advantage tool, and if we don't draw lands, it's going to be another land towards our 5-drops. Our opponent starts with a turn 1 Haunt of the Dead Marshes, and scries 1. They're going to put that on the bottom. Drawn into an Isolation at Orthanc. So we've got a 4-drop now. Probably do have to cycle Lorien Revealed. In case I draw 3-drop, then I can cast it. I mean, how many 3-mana cards do I have in this deck? Got 3 3-mana cards. Pretty unlikely we draw a 3-drop. Cool. We did hit land 4. Although now, again, I might have to just Island Cycle the Lorien Revealed so that I can have 4 mana for Isolation on turn 4. Curve out with all my plays. There's nothing on board I need to Isolation right now, so I'm going to get greedy. Drawn to another Lorien Revealed? Okay, if I have double Lorien Revealed, we're almost definitely Island Cycling 1. Might be playing Mouth of Sauron off curve from getting greedy if they play a good 4-drop creature. We'll see. But ideally, we don't have to Isolation right now, and I can just Soothing a Smeagol something and cycle a Lorien Revealed. Take 1 from the Haunt. Torment of Golem, that's really frustrating. We can't do anything about that. There goes Mouth of Sauron, and we don't really have any plays. I can still Island Cycle and then cast Lorien Revealed next turn at least. I guess unless they get rid of one of my Lorien Revealeds. If they get rid of a Lorien Revealed, I might just kill the army and hope to top deck land. Interesting. Yeah, let's just kill the army then. Okay, no land, but I can Easterling Vanguard holding up Soothing. Like, the nice thing about the Mouth of Sauron that makes me feel like I don't really need to, like, curve out and slam it down on 5 is it gets stronger the longer we wait to cast it. Because the more sorceries will be in our graveyards. We're probably milling ourselves, because we're going to have a lot of instants and sorceries in our graveyard. Alright, well, I know how we're losing this match. Witch King of Angmar is not really beatable unless we top deck a counterspell, so I just Soothing here and hope to top deck a counterspell. Yeah, this is going to be a really rough match. Super bomb rare. Willow Wind is not a counterspell, nor is it a land to draw 3. I mean, we're just going to die to a Witch King now. I don't even know what we really do about it. Do I cycle Lorien Reveal just so I can play these things? These things don't even really do anything about the Witch King. I mean, this just feels like a fat L here. No matter what I do, I don't think I have another bounce spell to go bounce into Gale. we can find a Gale. So we have 2 Gales. Knife Wound is not going to do it. Yeah, we just don't have outs to Witch King of Angmar unless we have the counterspell the turn they play it. I guess I maybe should have just cycled. Ooh, alright, they're going to play an Ungle Patrol. They're playing it safe with the Witch King. I was going to say, maybe I should have just cycled Lorien Revealed and just held Soothing until the turn that I drew into a counterspell. Feels like they don't want to cast Witch King if I have mana up, so I might not even want to cast anything. But then I'm just dying to a 4/5, regardless. I'm going to cycle this. Because if I tap out next turn, they're just going to cast it. So let's pull a land out of our deck so that if I don't top deck Glorious Gale, I can still do something. If I don't top deck Glorious Gale or land. Because if I top deck a land and I cast Lorien Revealed, then they know shields are down, no Glorious Gale anyway. 4 instant sorceries in grave. If I hit them with anything, I have to sack it. It's just literally unbeatable. Alright, I'm gonna just pretend I have Glorious Gale. Because I can't outrace it, because I have to sacrifice my creature the second it hits them. So if it resolves, we're just dead. Full control so that it'll look like I have a counterspell when they cast this. And then we resolve it. Play a land. Go to combat. Main phase 2, pass. Alright. We could be at 7 life right now if our opponent didn't play around Glorious Gale, so I don't think we can afford to play these things till we have 7 lands. Because it's the only thing keeping us alive here, really. Is that our opponent thinks we might have Gale. Give them a second to make it look like we're thinking about maybe countering that. But we can't do anything about it. Hit for 6. Down to 11. Come on, top deck land. Battle-scarred Goblin, that's fine. Okay, pass, go to our turn. 1 ring to rule them all, not a Glorious Gale or a land. 8 damage on board is not dead yet. Cast it and hold up blue and 1. Go to 3. They probably have like Witch King as their best play by a lot. I mean, Witch King would have been their best play for the last 3-4 turns. Yeah. And now they have to be like, are you bluffing? Yeah, because if I didn't bluff, I would have died like 2 turns ago. I'm bluffing. You got me, opponent. I can play a chump blocker for that, though. Those are not solutions to this issue. They'll make it look like I have an instance they have to consider a little bit. Whether they want to just kill me? Okay. Felbeast just kills me. Okay. Well, I don't think there was anything I could do there. I could have cycled Isolation. I probably should have cycled Isolation, or not Isolation, cycled Lorien Revealed earlier than I did. But even if I had, no shot we're beating Witch King of Angmar when we did not draw Glorious Gale 16 cards deep. So the two things was I should have cycled Alluring Revealed earlier, and I should have held on to Soothing a Smeagol so that I could have it in hand to cast in Glorious Gale in one turn. Although if I didn't Soothing a Smeagol, then the Witch King would have just still been on board and killed me even faster, so I guess it played out to making the game last as long as possible to see if I could draw into anything, so I don't know. Doesn't feel like I could do anything against the Witch King there. Was kind of just a fat L regardless. We're definitely putting in 2 Banishes, 2 Shire Terrace, and a Plains. And we're cutting the One Ring. I mean, it killed a lot of their creatures, but it's not going to kill the Witch King. And Knife Wound did not look very good. So those are the non-land cards we're cutting for the Banish. As for the lands, because of double Alluring Revealed, we go Island, Swamp. Maybe 2 islands and a swamp. No, let's go 2 swamps because we dropped the double black card. That's only 6 black sources though, with double Haunt, double Vanguard, Golem, Urkai. Sure, we'll go 8 blue, 7 black, 1 white, 2 Shire Terrace. Alright, we've got double Banish for the Witch King. And the problem is the rest of their deck is still pretty good. Just like black-red good stuff. Smite, Tormented Golem are great. Fungal Patrol's fine. Battle-Scarred Goblin's fine. Fellbeast is incredible. So Fellbeast, Smite, Tormented Golem, and Witch King are all very good cards. So they don't even need the Witch King to have a decent matchup against us. So I'm pretty scared here. I think I'm just going to do those cuts. Well, that's not keepable. This is keepable, but it is a bummer also. Because we're going to have to crack Shire Terrace for a black, most likely, instead of a white. Never mind, that is a great draw. So now I can hold up Gale and then just crack the Shire Terrace for a white source if we don't have to Gale anything. And I don't think I really, like, extra badly need to hold up Glorious Gale until they have 5 mana up, so I'm just going to run out the Kingfisher here and then run out the Oath. We can Isolation their less scary threats. Well, now they have 5 mana next turn, so I kind of have to hold up Glorious Gale and just Isolation if they don't cast a Witch King. I guess if they do cast a Witch King and we don't have Gale up, we can Isolation it back into the deck and then have Gale up when we know they're going to redraw it. Maybe I probably should have just still dropped a Berserker there. Land. That's Witch King mana. I'm hoping to top deck a land here so I can play Berserker and hold up Glorious Gale. If they have a Witch King in hand again, I hope that they just go for it because of the fact that we just bluffed counterspells all last game. They were like, they played no counterspells all game. They just pretended to have them, so I should just slam it down. Don't get got by the bluffs. Okay, Haunt's fine. That was a suspiciously long amount of thinking for just playing a Haunt. They definitely have something bigger. That's not a land, that's rough. Okay, again, I think I did this incorrectly. I should have just rolled out the Berserker or the Oath here, because if they play the Witch King, we can Isolation it and then counter it later. So I played... This might matter a lot. Last game, no misplays were going to matter. We were never winning that game, but playing the Oath a turn later could really affect how we're curving out here. Be a big problem. Aomer, oh god. Okay, well... I don't know if this matchup is winnable in the slightest. Their deck is absurd. Drop an Urkai Berserker, we can double block Aomer and hold up Glorious Gale, I guess. I'm not loving it. Yeah, this matchup's not winnable. Their deck is very good, and their draws are quite excellent these first two games. I think the tightest lines in the world would not be winning this match. Oh my god, they got Claim the Precious too? Seems very good. We go to 1 life. Yeah, I mean, I think the perfect line for us would have been playing the Oath a turn earlier, in which case Aomer would have just came down a turn earlier because we wouldn't have had Gale up, and they definitely had Aomer. They took... It's going to be edited down, but they thought for like a minute before they cast a Haunt with 5 mana up, so they definitely had Aomer already, and just considered to play around the Gale since we didn't hold it up. So I think the best line would have been Oath of the Grey Host, because we have the isolation for the Witch King that we know about, if they had that in hand. So I think with the information we had, our best line still would have been to run out Oath of the Grey Host turn 4 and then hold up Gale after that turn, in which case Aomer would have just resolved a turn earlier. We would have had 3 tapped flyers this turn to block this stuff, but we'd be at 0 instead of 1 right now anyway, so I don't think we could have done anything this game. Again, I don't think I played correctly, but it was not going to matter. This was a premium deck with some fantastic draws and curves. No shot in round 4. So we are 3-1 as we head into round 5. Here we are for round 5 on the draw for game 1 with a beautiful hand. The Scry from Haunt of the Dead Marshes can go a long way towards helping us hit land number 3 and preferably land 4 as well. We're also, again, on the draw, which gives us an extra draw step to get there. And if we just hit land 3, Sauron's Ransom can almost definitely find us land 4. So Haunt turn 1 from our opponent, Haunt turn 1 from us. Morgul Knife Wound is the draw. I'm looking for lands here. I will be dumping that on the bottom. Get the Haunt trade. Now a Bill Fernley. That's a 2/1 that makes a treasure when it's blocked. So, doesn't do much. I'll drop the Vanguard over the Golem, because there's not much value to be gained from the ring tempting us here, but getting another 1/1 is solid. Our opponent's on blue, black, and white. All 3 colors naturally turn 3. Plus a treasure from Bill here. Combat trick to keep Bill around. They must really want those treasure tokens, because I get a 1/1 to block Bill with next turn anyway. Alright, that was a very bad draw. We have not hit a land in our top 4. Yeah, that's a pretty massive bummer, I guess. I just Soothing Bill? They don't have a ring bearer? Do I just hold up the Soothing in case the ring tempts them again next turn so they don't have a level 2 ring bearer? Or do I just play Golem? I mean, even if Bill becomes a level 2 ring bearer, I just block with a 1/1, so I guess I'm just playing Golem. But I guess I could hold up Soothing and Gale in the same turn, which is kind of cool. Definitely a lot of options here. I think they're all pretty solid. Okay, give them that treasure here. Okay. Just all combat tricks. Keep a Bill around. Oh my god. Well, at least I can island cycle that. Which I guess is the play. Golem just trades into the 1/1. Guess it does the same on blocks anyway. Return the Haunt. Scry 1. That is certainly counterable. That would give them a level 2 ring bearer, which is pretty good value. I guess from their treasures they have 3 mana up if they have the 3 mana counterspell and a mass one, but it looks like they don't have that. Send in with the ring bearer, Golem can't block it. We're down to 18. Athelian Kingfisher can block and trade into Bill Ferny, and the only thing I won't be holding up here is Soothing of Smeagol, mainly. Seems fine to me, but I guess it's also fine to hold up Soothing because I could play Soothing or Sauron's Ransom, and then I can Rangers if I hit a land off of Sauron's Ransom. I guess I'm holding that up then. Try to ransom into a land. Rangers of Athelion could be really good here if they don't have removal or a counterspell or something. I'm just going to trade Golem into pretty much anything at this point. We are ahead in cards, and it looks like it's going to stay that way for a while. So I think I can afford making a trade down here. That'll also make it so when we use Rangers, we'll have a level 2 ring bearer instead of a level 1. Actually, level 3, because Ransom does it too. Okay, I can't do anything about the Arwen's Gift, so they are going to be doing well on card advantage as well. Actually helps them find removal for our Rangers of Athelion, so I'm actually more interested in Kingfisher again then. But I guess since I have the Desperate Rescue for the Rangers, it's probably still a solid play. Worst case scenario, it's going to slow them down. Land Vanguard or blank blank? I think I need a land badly enough to take Land Vanguard. I think I'd like this pile if it's 2 lands. If this is anything but 2 spells, I think the other piles, this pile's probably better. I'm going to take the other pile. Okay, Land Berserker is better than Land Vanguard. So I will take it, and while they're tapped out, I'll go for this. Let them use removal on Rangers, and then pick it up with Sam's Desperate Rescue. Alright, well, Faramir's busted. And we don't have removal for that right now. Faramir can absolutely take this game from us. If I attack them, they get 3 1/1s. If I don't attack them, they draw a card. So every single turn, they get 3 1/1s or draw a card, which is completely ridiculous. Soothing a Smeagol bounce the Haunt. Bill Ferny's then a level 4 ring bearer that they can't block. We also play a Kingfisher post-combat. Then they get 3 1/1s on the ground, but then I can play an Athelian Kingfisher and make a flyer a ring bearer. It kind of feels like the best I've got here, which is really weird. I do want to play a land this turn. Don't think I need the 6th land. Take it all. Go down to 12. We play a flyer to turn into the ring bearer. And they're going to get 1/1s on the ground. It's not going to stop the flyer. 1 mana counter for our creature. That's very good. Well, never mind. Faramir's right back at it towards taking this game from us. Willowwind would hit for 6 a turn if we can get that to resolve and stick on board. Willowwind with a level 4 ring. And they've got no blockers in the sky still, so that's the game plan. Willowwind with a level 4 ring it is. Hold up we'll keep a Desperate Rescue for later to use on the Rangers of Athelion. Yeah, we're going to try to hit them twice with a Willowwind. Let's scry. Find a 1 ring to rule them all. Not actually that great here. It's not horrible though. I think I do keep it. feel like another Willow Wind's gonna be too slow. I don't know. I'll keep the 2 of these. These just pass, let them draw a card. Really hoping that they're low on removal in their sealed pool. Bill has entered the chump zone. Don't think I can afford to lose Willow Wind to a combat trick. Could have chumped with Rangers for rescue. I think that would have been fine. Mirkwood Bats, there's a chumper. There's a chumper indeed. They're gonna get 3 1/1s. They get them during the end step? Yeah, so they'll be able to attack with them, so I'm gonna have 1 blocker up if I use 1 ring on Willow Wind and attack. I'll have 1 blocker up, I die to a removal spell. I don't think I can play 1 ring, I think I have to play another creature like Uruk-hai Berserker, or I need to Desperate Rescue something. Could sack Golem, sack Rangers to Golem, pick it up and replay it on Bats. Maybe that's my best line? I don't know, kind of feels like it. Weirdly. Still die to removal here. But if they don't have removal, then they're going to die in 2 swings. Okay, please God, no removal. On to the Dead Marshes. Scry 1. Scry to the top. Triggers the Watcher. If they have the removal spell here, I don't think we could win no matter what our line was, because then our best line is probably to hold back with everybody, in which case Faramir's still going to take the game over time. It just, we wouldn't die as quickly as we die getting aggressive here like we did. I think this was our best bet, is just hope they don't have a removal immediately and then we just kill them in 2 swings. Even if we're about to die to a removal spell, which is very possible. Swamp. Could be Fell Beast mana to make us sacrifice a creature. In which case, if I block with both and they play Fell Beast post-combat, we have to sack Willow Wind and we don't kill them on the crackback anymore. Any combat trick I should be playing around here? Out of blue, black, white, it could be the turn something into a 5/5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 plus 6, 15 damage. Okay, I can't play around a combat trick. I have to just hope they don't have a Fell Beast. 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 12 damage. If they have any combat trick, I'm dead. If they have a Fell Beast, I'm dead. But if their last card's another land or something, then they're dead. So let's find out. Ungol Patrol, they're dead. Willow Wind for 6. Close out the game. There's the concession. We're going to start off that round 1-0, beating the Faramir. Ooh, baby. All right. I like our base build against this deck outside of Faramir. I'd like to have more removal for Faramir. We do not have good interaction for that card. That would require the white splash again. And I think it would be reasonable to drop 1 ring. We saw 2 legends and we saw a good amount of ring tempt to make a ring bearer. The only reason that the 1 ring to rule them all would have been good there is because they had so many 1/1 tokens, really. And that's just because Faramir. So I don't think 1 ring's super good here. I also don't think Knife Wound is super good. A lot of their best creatures have really good abilities to keep around. But Knife Wound's fine. It's good against like the flyer and stuff. But again, since I'm adding 2 removal spells, I think it's reasonable to drop 1 Knife Wound. and we just run things the way that we've been, swapping out 2 banishes for the non-land cards, and for the lands, we put in our 2 Shire Terraces and a Plains. We cut a Swamp, 2 Islands with 2 Lorien Revealeds, and that is the deck for game 2. Reasonable keep here. Opponent is on the play again. We don't have any big late game plays. I guess Rescue sorta counts. So we definitely want to scry into some big stuff, scry out of any extra lands. But we'll see here. Isolation at Orthanc is not a bad draw. That's our white source, but I am going to scry it away anyway because it's a 5th land. Birthday Escape, very good card. Draw a card and get the Ring Bearer started at level 1. No Golem's Bite, our haunt of the Dead Marshes. Drawn to an Athelian Kingfisher, very solid one. So we're curving out turn 2 and turn 3. So they can do the 4-mana ability of Golem's Bite next turn, so they can start drawing a card and discarding a card every turn, which is pretty good. They could have the -3/-0 make an army, but if they kill a Vanguard with that, that's not the worst deal ever, because we get an army back out of it. No Deceive the Messenger. They could have their own Glorious Gale here. That'd be a little bit of a bummer, but I don't have an alternate line than just playing Kingfisher. I don't think I can afford to hold up Gale and have them not cast a creature next turn. Like if they cast a Torment of Golem, or if they just use Golem's Bite ability next turn and I'm holding up Glorious Gale, it's not going to play well. Oh, they have their own Rangers of Athelion? Oh my god, their deck is good. Holy snap. Okay, so we need to Isolation the Rangers and then hold up Gale when they redraw it, which is actually going to be immediately? Hold up, so I need to wait till I have 6 mana? Because if I Isolation, then it's 2 cards deep. They draw a card, then they attack, draw, discard, and replay it again. Wow. Okay, so I guess I can Isolation it during their turn and then have Gale up. But I can't Isolation it right now. I was going to say, I don't think there's any shot they block with Rangers, but they'll probably block with Kingfisher, which isn't a good trade for me. So yeah, I can Isolation during this turn. If they don't have a counterspell, it's going to play pretty well. Attack with everybody. Let their draw a card, discard a card trigger happen. Attempt to Isolation the Rangers. Alright. No Saruman's Trickery or anything, we just take 1. Take 5. Dreadful as the Storm gets cast. So they're going to redraw Rangers next turn, so we can just play a Vanguard here. Pass turn. Another Stern Scolding. That card is so good in this match. The 1-mana Glorious Gale coming in hot. Golem's Bite for level 4 haunt. Okay, they do not want to play Rangers this turn. Fair enough. We take 4. Sauron's Ransom into a land and hold up Glorious Gale. It's got to be a land in our top 4, right? We're dead in 2 swings from this haunt. That is a very big deal. Take the Shire Terrace pile. Lose a Lorien Reveal to Soothing Smeagol. Okay. These cards are definitely better for us than those cards. Right now. Actually, no. I need something like a Soothing Smeagol to not die to the haunt. I need anything to deal with the haunt. Stop it from being a Ring Bearer. Or just any 1/1s. But I don't have the mana to bring our Haunt back, so we can't have that untapped. That's devastating. Because I sort of kind of feel like I need to counter that, but then I won't have a counter up for Rangers of Ithilien. And if Rangers of Ithilien resolves, I'm super mega extra dead. At least these can both block Berserker. Okay, that's not a 1/1. Can't block the Haunt in any way. Can't change that unless I pick up my Haunts, I guess. I guess I can rescue my Haunts. Oh my god, dude. Oh, Magic the Gathering. Oh my god. I guess I die to a non-creature removal spell. Draw my own Rangers. Can't afford to do that till I deal with theirs. I could play Golem and Haunt for 3 mana. So if I play my land for turn, sort of a Willowwind here. Okay. I could have not attacked with Vanguard to not be dead to non-creature removal on Haunt. Okay. But I think I'm losing the game regardless if they have another non-creature removal spell. Christ almighty. So they have Claim the Precious, Stern Scolding, Rangers of Ithilien, Berserker, Birthday Escape. They've got a lot of Ring Tempt. Tons of removal. I do not know how we win this matchup. Honestly, the only answer I can think of is draw better. We just need to draw much better than them. Wait, now that I think back on it, I died to non-creature removal regardless, because I couldn't have played 2 blockers that were big enough for the Haunt, so I played as well as I could that game. I guess I could have played my Rangers and stolen their Haunt so that the Ring Bearer falls off, but then they play their own Rangers, get a Ring Bearer on something else. Yeah, maybe I had to just slam down my own Rangers. It wouldn't have won us the game, because they would have claimed the Precious Star Rangers, and then still had a Rangers of their own in hand, and had a Ring Bearer attacking, but their Haunt would be summoning sick again, so they couldn't just make it their Ring Bearer again after taking it back, and hit us with it immediately at least. Okay, again, I don't think I have more of a sideboard for this match. I think we just gotta get significantly luckier than our opponent. I guess Knife Wound actually does work against their Ring Bearers pretty well, so that could be important to keep into the deck. Or keep in the deck in general. Might be better than, what? Second Willowwind? Willowwind has been pretty slow, but it did win our first game. Maybe Oath of the Grey Host is extra slow for this matchup. I think that's fine. I'll get rid of an Oath for another Morgul Knife Wound for another way to deal with a Ring Bearer. Their deck's really good at just moving that Ring Bearer around if I deal with the current one. But at least that way I won't have to be dealing with a 1/1 Ring Bearer. That was a really, really big problem. Thanks, Arena. Very cool. We'll mulligan to 6 here. And this is reasonable. On turn 1. Scry into the white source. Yeah, I want to hit 5 lands for Willowwind. Got double blue cards in this deck. So I might Shire Terrace for a blue card for my Lorien Revealeds. Nimrodel Watcher absolutely resolves. Play the Shire Terrace to pull out a blue source. Not holding up on blocks, because if they play any Scry, I can't block anyway. But maybe it's best to just hold off on blocks there, because they didn't seem to have a ton of Scry in their deck. It probably would be. Well, there's the Lorien revealed. Guess I'm just holding off now. Life totals are even. We've both got 2 damage off our creatures. Perfectly balanced. Arwen's Gift, scry 2, draw 2. Which does mean we can't block the Watcher. So of course, the turn I attacked, they didn't scry. The turn I didn't attack, they did scry. Feels bad, man. Drop a 3/4, draw into more interaction here. Let's get a threat out. Also blocks Nimmerdale Watcher well. Draw into a Kingfisher. Well, screw me, I guess. Faramir's back, and the Watcher's a ring bearer. Oh, Lord. See, the problem is, if I just sat here holding up Glorious Gale, I would just be casting nothing, and they could still just get all their draw spells through and wait on casting stuff like Faramir. I don't really think I could have afforded to not just tap out for Willowwind there. But we're definitely dying to Faramir. At least it makes the things on the ground so we can keep doing our flying game plan. But we're probably going to die to all these 1/1s. Kill them in 3 attacks. I can somehow survive 3 attacks of theirs. We can get there. Can't do anything about Soothing a Smeagol, and that slows us down a lot and gets them to where they draw a card, discard a card every turn as well. This is a brutal matchup. It's basically the mirror match, except they have better bomb rares. We've got Rangers of Athelion, which is really, really good, but they have Rangers of Athelion as well, and then Faramir is just insane. Faramir definitely outclasses our Sauron's Ransom quite a bit, which is our next best rare. And then our 1 ring to rule them all is kind of just like uncommon power level generally. So just the mirror match where we've been outclassed by the stronger deck here, the stronger sealed pool. Feels like a definite loss, but we'll see. I'm obviously not just going to scoop in a qualifier weekend. Keep them from getting another ring bearer here. But that means I don't have the counter for Rangers of Athelion. Can't really afford to wait anyway. Isolation on Faramir's okay, but they're just going to redraw it. Yeah, I'm at 10 life. I think the Glorious Scale on Berserker was reasonable. Obviously, it's awkward to immediately draw a bounce spell where we could bounce Faramir and then counter it when they try to recast it later. But I still think that was the best line we could do. Still going to draw them a card in their end step, so if I bounce it right now, they draw a card in their end step and then draw a card during their turn and recast it immediately. So I think I bounce it during their turn, and I don't have the mana up to do anything but hold up Isolation if I'm playing Isolation, which is super awkward. So I guess I just let them draw 2 cards a turn now. At least on board, they can't attack into anything since I countered the Uruk-hai Berserker. If the Berserker resolved, they'd still have good attacks on board. Yep, there's Lash of the Balrog for 1. Yeah, I feel like this is the mirror match where we aren't just outclassed by the power of their bomb rares, we're also outclassed by the quality of their removal. Like, they're only splashing for Faramir, we have to splash for our removal. We don't have any Claim the Precious or Lash of the Balrogs and stuff, they've got at least 1 of each. Another uphill battle matchup, and it doesn't look like we are going to get back into this game at this point. I'm happy to have at least got the victory in round 1. That was a really tight game. That could have very easily been another loss had we played a little differently. Yep, and they've got just as strong signpost uncommons like Mouth of Sauron. Like, Mouth of Sauron's one of our strongest cards. They've got the Mouth as well. More Sealed Pool Envy as you do. There's a banish for the Faramir, but we're dying to all the stuff on board at this point. I'd need to draw 2 lands off Lorien Revealed to play it and the Kingfisher. And play the Kingfisher and banish a tapped creature. Or if I didn't tap a black, I could play the Kingfisher, sack it, and play a Golem. Then I would have a Legend for the Haunt, but I wouldn't have the black mana to reanimate the Haunt anyway. Alright. No shot we win that game, no matter how we play then. Because even if I held the counter for Faramir, I just have to counter Rangers. Oh my god. Yeah. Pretty unwinnable. Not a ton to say there. Just looking in the mirror, seeing the perfect, extra handsome version of yourself, being like, why can't I be you? So here's a final look at the deck list. Certainly not unhappy with the results today. We still got a ton of gems out of this event. We're getting 5,000 gems. I'm going to be at over 40,000 gems in the account, which is pretty nice. I think this is just about the best build of this sealed deck that we could do. It played out very powerfully. Honestly, we were keeping up with some incredibly powerful decks, so I'm happy with that. For biggest underperformers, biggest things we might change, we did constantly sideboard into the white version of the deck, so maybe just starting with the double banish, the Shire Terrace, and the white source was the best way to build it, but I don't think that would have really considerably affected the outcome of any of these rounds. I think our 2 losses in our 3-2 run were pretty unstoppable, even if we started on the 3-color build, even if we played as tightly as possible. Just those very strong decks with those very solid draws, we're always going to find victories in those games. So 3-2, sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles, just the way the cards fall. Still a positive record in a very competitive event, so I'm happy with that. And we're leaving with 5,000 extra gems, so pretty sweet stuff overall. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and my YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the videos. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link or hit that join button below. Other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.